family. Well, I'm hoping that this will work today. I'm seeing the clock one not ticking the way it should. I hope you can hear me. So we're going to go through college and pro football. Try to go through problem solving again. I don't know what happened yesterday. I don't know how much people got out of it. I didn't rewatch it, so I'm not sure how it came out. So let me know if you can't hear me. Anyway, so a lot of good picks in college this weekend, pros that I can see. Well, hopefully you can hear me. Let me go into YouTube and see if I can hear me. So can you hear me? I can hear you. All right, I can hear. I can hear, and it looks not pausing, so we're okay. All right, so apologize for that, but I don't know what's going on with YouTube. Let's quickly look at the gold price today, the paper gold price. Paper silver price is up 40 cents, 23.46. And the paper 2 o'clock. The paper gold price is 19.61. So from that standpoint, it's all meaningless, of course, because it's paper. All right. So let's look at the line. So we'll do college first. So let's look at the scores from yesterday. So we liked Western Michigan, Toledo, and Eastern. Let's see how that did. Northern Illinois 24-0 over Western. Toledo 32-31 over Bowling Green. And Eastern 30-27 over Akron. So the Z team lost. Toledo Bowling Green 32-31, much closer. And then Northern Illinois Western, who was an over team, didn't score. So there you have it. I don't bet these Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday games. Maybe a Thursday or a Friday if I really like it. All right. So tonight we got Miami of Ohio, 7.5. It was 8.5. Their quarterback's out, Gabbert, 38.5, down from 40. And we've got Ohio 11.5, up from 10.5. 47.5, up from 46 on Central Michigan. Ohio's an under team. They've been playing. I've locked a lot of the under games. They beat Iowa State 10-7. Central Michigan's a W team, gives up 30 a game, but Ohio really won't be able to take advantage because they don't really have a strong offense. I'm surprised Central doesn't score more. They did put up 17 to Notre Dame, for whatever that's worth. Probably an under game because Ohio plays very low-scoring games. Miami of Ohio, 7.5, 39 to Buffalo. Miami of Ohio's the B team. Buffalo is kind of an either. They score 23, 24, give up 28. Hard to play. They haven't been playing that well. I'm gonna probably ignore these games. I mean, you can put in your, sounds like Alex did yesterday. Pitt 346.5 to BC. BC's the over team. Pitt's actually the Z team. I kind of like BC as a dog to a Z team. I got an over dog to a Z team. BC should be able to score, should be able to keep the game close, probably win it, but Pitt went to Syracuse and got killed. So I'm not buying Pitt. That's the only Thursday game. Okay. And then Friday, we got South Florida and UTSA. We've got UTSA 16.5, 66. South Florida is an over team, scoring a ton, giving up a ton. UTSA, decent defense at 24, and they've been scoring a lot with Frank Harris. Probably an over game. I got to research South Florida a little bit more. And then the late game is Washington State 4.5, 64 to Prime. I like the over in this game. I mean, there's one thing we know is Colorado will score on you, and they can't stop you. Washington State, Ward should have a big game, and I think Colorado should be able to score. We need 64, so we need 58. I think that's doable. So that's the first decent game. I don't care if it's Friday or Saturday. The game is at Washington State. All right. I'm fine. Brandon, how are you? You're fine? Good. Okay. If you have any questions or comments, Brandon, that's why I do it live, so feel free. Let's see. So, yeah, this is the problem. Okay, so Army, Coastal Carolina, 4.5, 42.5. That line hasn't changed. See, by now I'm used to where the teams are in the schedule because the schedule comes out and then they switch it around based on the TV times. So I got games here that are over there and over there that are here. But by now I know where they are after trying to find them. So Coastal Carolina, 45. Up to McCall. Army's been kind of weak this year. Well, not. It's very, very tough one to play. Maybe Coastal Carolina here, but if McCall plays. Indiana, 4.5, 47.5. Here it is. Against Michigan State. Michigan State's the Z team. I don't look for a lot of scoring here. Michigan State's got their freshman quarterback in. He's okay. Indiana playing a little bit better. I think Indiana gets the win at home. Michigan State, I mean, they played, Michigan killed them. Ohio State killed them. It's really hard to get a read on them. Then there's the other games. So I think Indiana wins at home, and I think it's an under game. Michigan State, they really don't score, and I don't think Indiana is going to light them up. They don't have that type of offense. Yeah, Texas Tech's playing. They're playing UCF. Michigan, Maryland. Michigan 19.5, 50. I mean, they're just. I mean, I think they kill Maryland here. I don't think Maryland's a good team. They get against Ohio State, Penn State, they get killed. Michigan just keeps pounding away at you. Maryland doesn't have a defense to really stop Michigan. It's not nearly as good as Penn State's. Penn State's is the 13. Ohio State's is a 10. Michigan's a 7. And Maryland's a 22. I think Michigan gets to win. I think they have to win. I don't think they're going to be flat after the Penn State game. They still got to play Ohio State, so that's keeping their interest. They're trying to get into the playoff. You can't lose here, and then they lose to Ohio State, and they don't get in the playoff. So I don't see them losing to Maryland. I don't think Maryland's going to surprise them. Maryland's very weak defense. I mean, they're at 22, but Penn State put a 59 on them. So I don't know. I don't see it. I think Michigan kills them because that's just the way they've been playing. Now, Penn State, what did I say? They haven't played anybody. Michigan hadn't played anybody. Finally plays Penn State 24-15. They win by 9, but they were only laying 5. But I was never tempted to take Michigan even. I was always tempted to take either Penn State or go under, and I went under. But in this case, I'm looking at the under 50, go down to 56, go under 56. I just don't think Maryland's going to score much on them. Maybe they get a touchdown. Michigan with their 40. I just think Michigan minus 14 on a very weak Maryland team. Tagovailoa, he'll have probably 3 interceptions in the game. And they blitz him. They'll get pressure on him. He folds. So I'm not expecting Maryland has no chance of winning the game. Louisville, Miami. Interesting. Louisville 1.5, 46.5. They've been playing well at home. Miami beat Clemson. Played Florida State pretty well, even though Van Dyke didn't play. He is playing today because the other quarterback broke his arm. So the guy who replaced him, who sucked. How do you sit Van Dyke? I mean, that's how bad the coach is. I looked at the offensive coordinator at Gaddis, who sucks, who was at Michigan and they sucked, and then he goes to Miami and they suck. Was at Maryland now. So I really, really love Michigan when I found that out. I don't know. It looks like it's a night game, Texas Tech, probably a 7:00 game, and I'm eating this is an avocado. It's the best food to eat. This is the healthiest food you can possibly eat. So with Van Dyke, Miami at home, I'm not running to take Louisville on the road. They seem to have a good defense. I can see it going under because Miami is going to run, and they have a good defense also, and the coordinator sucks, and Van Dyke's having trouble. I can see under 52 being a good play. Louisville at the 17 defense. Miami, they played Florida State 27-20. Played them to a 47, so I'm not looking for Louisville. I don't think they're lighting it up offensively. They beat Duke like 23-0 or something. Anyway. Rutgers, Penn State. Penn State, 20.5, 42.5. I like Penn State in the game off the loss. I kind of like over in the game, but I don't know what I'm going to get from Rutgers. I might go Penn State more. Penn State, they've now lost 2, so they're not. They have no chance of winning the Big Ten because they lost to Michigan and Ohio State. So they would have to lose 3 games for Penn State to jump them, because if they lose 2 games, they still beat Penn State head to head. So Penn State's got nowhere to do it. They were emotional last. This is the problem with these noon games. They should have played at 7:30, and Penn State could have had a whiteout. What channel? I have no idea. Well, I'll tell you when I get there. Yeah, usually it'll say it on here, but well, let me. Okay, let me. They're down near the bottom. Texas Tech UCF's on Fox Sports 2, FS2 at 5 o'clock, actually. So it's a 5 o'clock game, Texas Tech UCF. Should be a high scoring one. So if you go on scoresandodds.com, you can see all those questions you would see. All right. So Penn State, 20 and a half, 42 and a half. Penn State, I mean, they seem to have a little, they blew out Maryland though, but they don't seem to have this highly explosive offense. Rutgers, on the other hand, is an 18 defense. So they both have strong defenses. This probably could be an under game. Under 48, over 36. I like them both. I just think that I just don't think Rutgers is going to score too much. And they lost to Michigan 31-7. That was a 38. So Penn State probably gets 30s or 40s, and Rutgers, I don't know. They beat Iowa 31-0 at Penn State. They're better at home. Michigan was a 39. But I do think Rutgers scores more, but 20 is a lot. And Rutgers is a pretty good team. Even though they don't score, they got a good defense. So I'm going to pass on this right now. Tulane, 9.5. 9.5, 47.5 to Florida Atlantic. Tulane's a B team. They give up 20 a game. Florida Atlantic's an E team. Gives up 25. Tulane's not been playing well. They barely beat Tulsa. They barely beat another team the week before that. They're just not scoring. Their quarterback's there, but he must be hurt but playing. Defensively, they give up 20. Florida Atlantic, I got to check their quarterback. But basically, I don't know. It's hard to go over because you're not getting points from Tulane. And I don't know what Florida Atlantic's going to do. So it's kind of a wait and see. But I'm not loving Tulane like I was before. They're just not scoring. East Car and Navy. Navy 2.5, 31.5. Holy shit. They're both under teams. They both give up 23-21. 31.5. I just think this is too low. I mean, I don't know why it's so low. Okay, neither offense really scores. Navy should run the ball down their throat, I would think. And East Car. So I don't know. East Car is pretty bad. Navy is pretty bad. I don't know. No comment on that. Purdue Northwestern. Purdue is 346.5. Up from 2.5. Purdue's been playing well. They killed somebody. Northwestern, the quarterback's been banged up. But if he plays, this is probably an over game. Purdue with the 31 defense, Northwestern with the 22. So Purdue's going to be scoring. And the question is the quarterback. Let's see if we can find out anything on the injuries. Northwestern, no injuries. Purdue's got a bunch. Okay. This isn't really accurate to me. Scores and odds, I go to covers. So let's go to Northwestern. He was questionable yesterday. It looks like he's playing. He's not on the list. Couple of guys, couple defensive linemen questionable. Couple of wide receivers out. Tight end out. Two tight ends. So two tight ends, two wide receivers out. And two defensive linemen, but not the quarterback. So I kind of think this is an over game because I think it's 47. I think over 41. Purdue scores, and they got a 31 defense. So it's not like Purdue, is gonna hold them in. Okay. I live in Houston. I have Fox 26. I want to watch a go. Have a good day. Okay, you too, Brandon. Yeah, do you know Alex? Alex lives in Houston too. Maybe you're friends with Alex. Okay. So, probably an over game, but we'll see. All right. Southern Miss, Mississippi State. Mississippi State, 13.5, 46.5. Let's see if their quarterback's playing. Then we'll take a quick look at injuries. Will Rogers probable. So if they get Will Rogers back, they've got two tight ends out, a safety out, two defensive linemen out. So they're a little weak. You'd think they'd be over if the quarterback's playing against Southern Miss. I mean, they should kill them, especially lane 14 with Will Rogers playing. This will be interesting. All right. Oklahoma, BYU, Oklahoma 24 and 56.5 to BYU. Oklahoma cannot lose. BYU's playing terrible. They're a W team. They give up 28. Oklahoma, A team, giving up 20. We saw how explosive they were. They had trouble with Oak State with their balance, but BYU's offense is just not that good. So I like Oklahoma here, I think. The big number, 24, to give up 18. BYU's, normally they're a pretty good team, but they're really playing lousy ball lately. Let's take a look at BYU's last three. We know Oklahoma's. I know BYU's been playing like shit. Yeah, they lost 45-13 to Iowa State, 37-7 to West Virginia, 35-6 to Texas. And they beat Texas Tech. TCU killed them. They beat Cincinnati. Kansas got them by 11. So, with that said, in the last 5 games, if we look at they got 27 on Texas Tech. But the last 5, 27, 38, 45, 52, 65, divided by 5 is it's like 13 a game. So they're scoring 13 a game. And they're giving up 40, 60, 95, 135, 175, divided by 5. It's like 35 a game, just rounding it. So this is at 13.35. So, yeah, let's jump all over Oklahoma. Now, is BYU getting players back that have been out? Let's take a look. See, then you do that, and then wait, I didn't know that this guy was playing and that guy was playing. So, like I say, when you get players back, it's a whole different team, like Mississippi State. So they got Slovis. That's the problem. Questionable with an arm. Receivers questionable. So nobody's out except for Slovis didn't play last week. So without Slovis, they're just not scoring. I think even with him, they're not scoring. But so, like Oklahoma here. UL Monroe and Old Miss. Old Miss. I got 37.5, 62. UL Monroe is the Z team, give up 33, so they're not even scoring 20. And Old Miss over team, score 40-some, give up 26. I think they killed, off this loss to Georgia, they got killed. I think they bounce back against Lou Monroe and just kill them. 37, you go down over 31, 31, over under 62. It's kind of a mute point because if it gets over 62, they're going to win by more than 31 because they're going to be the ones doing all the scoring. Lou Monroe doesn't really do much. So look for Ole Miss to really hang one on them. Let's look at Lou Monroe just to get a thought. So Lou Monroe lost to Troy 45-14. Southern Miss 24-7. Arkansas State 34-24. Georgia Southern, they played pretty well there, 38-28. And Texas State 21-20. South Alabama 55-7. So there's been a few. App State 41-40. So there's been a few games they score, but generally the last three they've been doing nothing. Let's see against Troy. Yeah, right, their quarterback, 20-36, but it's their defense, and that's what's getting them. So, yeah, look for Ole Miss to just crush them. So here's where I always ask myself, so off comes next week, and I'll see the score, and I'll go, why didn't I lock that game? Why didn't I lock Tennessee over UMass or whatever? And I always ask, and I said, well, next time I see that, I'm going to at least play it, maybe lock it. So here I got another golden opportunity. Monroe, we're a strong offensive team against a Z team. They're going to kill them. So, I mean, it's that kind of stuff that you want to keep in mind of, maybe I should play that game instead of fucking around with some of these other games. All right, SMU 7.5 over Memphis, 7.5, 66.5. That hasn't changed. SMU's an 18. They've been playing strong defense. Memphis an over team, giving up 29. I like SMU minus 1.5 here. I think they are playing well. Their quarterback's really good. He's new, so he's had some weaker games, but their defense is what I'm interested in. 16 defense. They got the offense. Memphis a pretty strong offensive team, but their defense is kind of weak. So we'll see. Liberty 27-61 to UMass. Here it is. All I can think is that commercial with Liberty Mutual. Liberty Bibbity. 27-61. Mass is a W team, gives up 37 a game. Liberty's an A team, score pretty well, and give up 20. Liberty was struck. They're blowing out teams, then they started not blowing out teams. So let's see if they are back to blowing out teams. Yeah, Old Dominion 38-10, 56 on L Tech, 42. So they are scoring. They got a very good quarterback. Defensively, not much. But UMass has a terrible who's there? What are they looking at? UMass, they beat Mercer. They beat the Army. Penn State beat them 63-0. Toledo 41-24. Arkansas State put up 52 on them. See now that the Penn State beats UMass and they lay 42 in the game. And I don't play it. I don't lock it. And yet they win 63-0. This is the problem is, well, the game's over. Now we can mate off it. And now we can bet it. The game's over. So that's what you got to be careful of. So it doesn't always do it. But kind of like Liberty here, 21, not a bad number to UMass. App State, James Madison. James Madison down to 8.5, was 10.5. And 55.5. James Madison's the 18 with an 18 defense. App State an over team with the 27. Excellent quarterback for James Madison. 55.5. Yeah, I mean, I like this game over. App State's very good, and it's hard to take James Madison to win the game is very difficult. So I don't know that they're going to do it. They should win, but I think you're going to get an over. I think that's a good play here. Ball State 12.5, 41.5. This is Z against Z. Kent's terrible. Kent's just pathetic. Well, their quarterback went to UCLA. Their coach went to Colorado. They got nothing left. And I think with this whole portal thing and this whole NLI or NIL, which I'm not really sure I understand. I thought it's about if you sell a Charles Woodson jersey, he wasn't getting any money. He gets money on it. So now, is this worth 50? Are they paying these guys $50,000 a year, or what? I'd be pretty pissed if they're paying the players because they get a free ride. If I want to go to college or send my kids, it's $100,000. They get nothing. And that's not enough for them? No, we got to pay them to play? Really? But then how much are we paying? And really, because it's ridiculous. And then the part I don't like is they're not allowed to work. They should be allowed to work. But again, they don't need anything. They're on scholarship. They get food. They get housing and clothing. Don't really... you're getting off. You don't owe the $100,000, guys. All right. Rice, 2.5, 46.5. If I can find them. Rice. Here we go. 2.5, 46.5. Let's check the quarterback. Jay Daniels is questionable with a concussion. Okay. So we still don't know. He had a concussion last week, didn't play. We didn't bet him. And I was going to bet him over, but he didn't play, so I didn't bet the over, and it didn't go over. 2.5, 46.5. Again, it's up to the quarterback. Rice is an over team, good quarterback. Give up 29. Charlotte's weak team. They don't score much, give up 26. So how good's Rice's backup quarterback? Can he beat Charlotte's? Just terrible. Hawaii, Wyoming, Wyoming 13.5, 45.5, up from 44. Hawaii's a W team, gives up 32. Wyoming's an under team, gives up 26, although they did play Texas Tech, a 33-32 game earlier. They played some decent scores. They're a decent team. Hawaii sucks on the road, and they have a bad defense. Wyoming should win 13.5. Maybe you take Wyoming minus 7.5. Could be an over because Hawaii doesn't have a defense, but sometimes they score. Wyoming is not this killer under team. They are an under. They'll score 22. As I said, though, against Hawaii, they should score in the 30s. All you need is a 39 here. I think you go over that pretty easily. UTEP, Middle Tennessee State. Middle Tennessee State. 7.5, 47.5 hasn't changed. UTEP's a W team with a 27 defense. Middle Tennessee's an E team with a 28 defense. Really hard to do anything here. Maybe you take Middle Tennessee at home, but I'm not putting even the fake paper money on this game. Tech, Jacksonville State, again, we're kind of in limbo. Jackson State, 8.5, 54.5. Tech's an over team, 31 defense. Jackson State is a B team with a 20 defense. So they're basically pretty good team, Jackson State. First year in the league. Are they really that good? So let's look at Jacksonville State. I thought Florida State was in Jacksonville also. So how many teams does Jacksonville need? They lost to South Carolina pretty good, 38-28. Beat Florida International 41-16. Western Kentucky 2017. Lost to Liberty 31-13. Beat Middle Tennessee State, Sam Houston, Eastern Michigan. So they played pretty well. The last three, 28 on South Carolina, it's SEC, 41 on Florida International, Western Kentucky, they beat 2017. So I think they should win this game against Tech. Let's see, what's Tech doing? They lost to Sam Houston, 42-27. Got killed by Liberty, 56-30. Lost to New Mexico State, 27-24. Lost to Middle Tennessee State, 31-23. Lost to Western Kentucky. So they're playing pretty good teams and losing fairly close. So I think Jacksonville State is a good play here. 8.5 down to 2.5, under a field goal. West Virginia, 6.5, 54. I noticed my clock's still doing 5 seconds, but when I watched myself live, it really didn't have an effect. So maybe it's something YouTube did where they're not doing every second, they're doing 5. I don't know. West Virginia, 6.5, 54.5. Here they are. West Virginia is an over team, gives up 28. Cincinnati's an E team that gives up 27. They're not scoring. They don't have a really good offense. They're kind of weak scoring. West Virginia at home is explosive. I like West Virginia here even. It's just one of these point spreads where it's even and it's at West Virginia, and they're very good at home. Cincinnati's not one of these normal over teams in the Big 12. Oklahoma goes over, Oklahoma State, and Texas Tech, and TCU, and Texas. They all go over. They all got good offenses, but not Cincinnati, not BYU. So I kind of like West Virginia here. Utah, 1.5. Utah 1.5, 44.5 to Arizona. Utah, as we know, without Cam Rising, their quarterback's starting to play a little bit better. They put up 28 on Washington last week, was surprising. They looked very good against Washington. Here they're at Arizona, who's a very good team. They're a B team. They only gives up 20, and Utah only gives up 17. So I'm thinking this should be probably a low scoring game. But I'm confused because Utah goes into Washington, lights them up 28. They lose 35-28. Washington, I thought, had a fairly good defense. So now I'm saying maybe they don't, or Utah's starting to catch fire offensively now that they know Rising's not playing every week. Is he playing? Against Arizona? So Arizona is very good. Again, they tied 28 all with USC at the end of regulation. Beat Washington State 44-6. I mean, this is a very good team. They did lose last week. Utah again. I can see taking Arizona in 7.5, or I guess under 50, because you got two strong defenses, so it's really hard. Utah doesn't have a strong offense. Arizona okay, but hard. I mean, this game I guess could go 60, and I guess it could go 28. Very difficult to say. So I got to do more looking at this game. But I do think it's an under game at first blush. Duke, Virginia. Duke 3.5, 46.5. Riley Leonard probably not playing. They got backups questionable. Virginia's kind of weak. They're W with the 32 defense, but Duke really not going to take advantage of it. Duke is a B team with an 18 defense, so they can score. With Riley Leonard, this is easy to take Duke. Without Riley Leonard, I think this is an easy go under, because I think Duke's going to run the ball and just rely on their defense, which is going to shut out Virginia. Very strong defense. And then Virginia really doesn't have an offense, and their defense is a 32, but Duke's really not going to take advantage of it. So in the purest form, you would, even with the backup quarterback, I think you go under, or you take Duke in 2.5. I think those are your options there. Nevada, Colorado State. Colorado State 11.5, 47.5. Hasn't moved. Colorado State's an over team. The 30 defense. Nevada's a Z team with a 33, although Nevada kind of sometimes plays good, and Colorado State's been struggling offensively. So I don't know what happens here. Colorado State, let's see. Let's look at the last three. Yeah, 22 points on San Diego State, 15 on Wyoming, and 13 on the Air Force. Okay, so they played three fairly good defensive teams, but against Vegas, they scored 23, against Boise 31, Utah State 24. They really haven't scored since the prime game when they scored 35. So they're not scoring the way they usually do. Maybe they shot their load at the after Colorado. 11.5. Nevada's not too good, and both teams have a terrible defense. But like I said, I don't know that Colorado State. If we look at let's look at San Diego State's got a 28 defense. They didn't score on it, so I'm going to leave this alone. This looks like a mess. I don't know that Colorado State's an over team as much as they got a shitty defense and a decent offense, but not explosive. Now maybe there's injuries. I don't know. North Texas 2.5, 66 to Toledo. To Tulsa. I'm sorry. North Texas. Okay. 2.5, 66. North Texas is an over team, good quarterback, high scoring, give up 38. Tulsa's a W team that gives up 34. Over under 2.5, 66. I don't know that Tulsa's going to get you to the 66. Let's look at Tulsa. We know North Texas explosive. Tulsa, 22 on Tulane. Charlton, 26. They lost 69-10 to SMU. They lost 42-10 to Rice. So they don't, in the last 5 games, 10, 20, 40, 60, 85 divided by 5 is 15. 20 is 100. So it's like 17 a game. Hardly an over team. Which game am I looking at? North Texas. So yeah, I mean Tulsa I got as a W. It gives up. I got this. North Texas looks mighty good. North Texas lost to SMU, lost to UTSA 37-29, lost to Memphis 45-42, lost to Tulane. So that was a very hard schedule. Then they get Temple 45-14. The Navy, they lose 27-24. They beat L Tech. Yeah, so they play a lot of close games and lose them. So bad record, but a very explosive team, it looks like, and a very tough schedule. I mean, SMU, UTSA, Memphis, Tulane. You're playing 4 really strong teams, and then they do blow out Temple. So it's not like they're losing to weak teams. That's why you look at what's going on here. Tulsa is terrible. So I think North Texas is, and you get 3.5 here. I don't think over is a play. I mean, if it goes over, it's because North Texas put up 50 points. But Tulsa's not going to help you there. Speaking of the devil, Temple, UAB 7.5, 64.5. Temple's UAB is the over team. Both defenses suck, but Temple doesn't give you any points. So I like UAB minus 1.5 here. Texas State 3.5, 59.5. Versus Arkansas State. Arkansas State's a W team with a 30 defense. Texas State's the over team with the 29 defense. Here, I think you can get your over a 59. Let's take a look at it. I think that's a low over. Texas State. This Troy team is really rough. So they lose to Coastal Carolina 31-23. They lose to they beat Georgia Southern 45-24. They lose to Troy 31-13 and beat Lou Monroe. And they lose to Lou Lafayette 34-30. So they score only against Troy was at 13. So figure them for in the 20s at least. The last 5. Figure them in about 24-25. And they're giving up 31s, 24s, 20. They're good. So they're like a 25-25 team. And when we look at Arkansas State, I got them as a W. Let's see. South Alabama, 21-14. They beat Lou Lafayette, 37. They put up 34 on Lou Monroe, Coastal Carolina, 17, and Troy 3. So Troy's got the rough defense. Where's Troy? I got to make sure I circle Troy. Yeah, they got Lou Lafayette. Yeah, we're all over Troy. 16.5. Yeah, roll Troy. Beat Navy. So they've had games against UMass and Southern Miss. They lit it up. They put up 30s on Lou Lafayette and that. Let's look at Lou Lafayette. It's just Arkansas State. Rayner. Is that who I'm playing? Arkansas State. Yeah. Arkansas State, Rayner, 18-28, 194 yards. Couple of running backs. They beat Lou Lafayette 13-17. Let's look at him last week against South Alabama. Rayner, so 15 of 28, 186. So let's check Rayner out. We'll see what he's doing for the year. So Ark State, 21-14 to South Alabama. They really didn't do anything. A little bit of running, but basically it was 21-6 going into the fourth quarter, and they scored a touchdown. So they didn't score on South Alabama, who, let's see, do I have them? Yeah, they're at 21. So they're at 21. Here we've got North Texas at 38. Or no, that's Texas State's at 29. Yeah, so this should be an over game, I think. Two bad defenses. Arkansas State, they play, a 20, a 45, a 13 to Troy. Oh, this is Texas State, Arkansas State. A 14, a 37 to 34, 17 to Coastal Carolina, 3 to Troy. So you got to be careful of that Troy team. It really skews you. But, yeah, at Arkansas State, Rayner, I got to check out. We'll have to see about the over here. I'm not sure I want 9.5. I'm not sure I trust them to win the game. All right, Georgia, Tennessee. Here we go. Georgia, 10.5, 58.5. We don't have to look here. So what do we got going through our minds? We got Georgia basically just shut them down last year with Hooker. Georgia's quarterback looks not better than Bennett, but they're scoring. They're scoring a lot more. And they just killed Mississippi. But Mississippi's a 26 defense. Tennessee's a 20 defense. Tennessee we watched against Alabama. They played them. They could have got up 21-0. They couldn't score inside the 5-yard line on first and goal twice. Kicked 2 field goals. So it's 13-0 instead of 21-0. But that's not Georgia's defense. That's Alabama's defense. Where do they see Georgia? Georgia will put pressure on them. Now, this is a 3:30 game on CBS. So it's not a night game, which is critical. Georgia is going to turn it on. They'll be a little bit afraid, like against Mississippi. Oh, we might lose, and they really concentrate. And here's Tennessee, so they're going to really concentrate and put it to them. Over under 58.5. So I'm thinking, do I want to play under 64? They played Alabama a 34-20 game, a 54, which could have been more, could have been another 8 points. So it could have been a 62. Georgia's been lighting it up. They've been scoring a lot. They beat Missouri. Let's look at the Missouri game. Now, granted, it was at Georgia, but let's look at it. Let's see what that score was. Well, let's see if I can find it. I don't think they had a bye. Georgia. Here it is. 30-21 over Missouri. So they held Missouri to 21, which is pretty good. They're a good They're a good team. 30-21's a 51 with Missouri. Beat them by 9 at home. Doesn't really matter. I don't think Tennessee, Georgia's worried about going to Tennessee. They've been in the big games. They've been in the championship games. It ain't a big deal for them. The quarterback's a little bit better. Yeah, they're missing Brock Bowers, but they have a good offense, and the defense is always very strong. They'll pressure Milton, who likes to run, but they just saw that with Ole Miss with Dart, who likes to run. I just think Georgia minus 4.5, you got to go with them. Like I said, this could be the Dallas Cowboys. I'd be taking Georgia minus 4.5. They're just such a good team. So it was a 51 with Missouri. Tennessee's got what's Missouri's defense? Missouri's got a 23 defense. Tennessee's a 20, basically the same. So I look for Georgia to be in the mid-30s. Hey, Alex. I'm fine. Thank you, Ray John. Alex, is Brandon your friend? Because he's from Houston, so I thought maybe you told him. He says, I live in Houston. I have Fox 26. This Brandon Schutz. So what are the odds that, you're in Houston, he's in Houston? In my class, I think he probably knows you, but not sure. So I think you got to go with Georgia. I think 58 under 64. Tennessee's got a pretty good defense. And you can see them as the Missouri game 30-21. So they only scored 30 on Missouri. I think Tennessee looks like they have a very good defense. Let's look at the A&M game. A&M was pretty good defensively. They beat A&M 20-13, lost 34-20 to Tennessee, beat Kentucky 33-27. I hit the over there. UConn, what's UConn doing in the middle of this? 59-3, and then they lose to Missouri 36-7, a low-scoring game. So I think Tennessee's going to shut them down like Missouri did. Missouri puts 36 up on them. So I think that's what you're going to get. You're going to get like Georgia 40 to maybe 20 is a 60. We're under 64. We're over 52. It's a real tough thought. I think Georgia minus 4.5. You got to play, and if you lose with Georgia minus 4.5, you lose with it. I hate to go under and they beat them by 50, and then I hate to go over and the score's 30-21. Still thinking about it. But anyway, I think Georgia shouldn't have a problem with them. VTech 344.5. NC State's an under team. They don't score a lot, give up 19. VTech has been playing pretty well. They're an E team. They give up 24. They do score. VTech minus 2.5. NC State beat Clemson. I don't know. I can't understand Clemson this year. They got 4 losses. You don't know what's going on. You don't know Brandon. Okay. I just thought I'd ask because he said I'm from Houston. I live in Houston. So how many people live in Houston? You and Brandon. And there you go. He asked me when the Texas Tech game was. It's a 5:00 game against UCF. I think it'll be a 100-point game, but we'll get there. So speaking of that, Clemson, North Carolina, Clemson 6.5, 58.5 to North Carr. North Carr, we know, has the quarterback isn't that good. I mean, sometimes, but he's not. His stats are not great. They're an over team with a 26 defense. Clemson's a B team with a 21. Quarterback's been okay. They played Florida State pretty close. They lost at Miami. At home, I think they're a better team. I think they beat North Carolina, but they're not that strong. So over under, I never know what to do with Clemson. Over under, I don't know which team shows up. They're very inconsistent. Brandon, and 10 million others. There you go. So it's just a few. I don't know why you don't know them. It's only 10 million. Iowa 3.5, 30.5 to Illinois. Illinois is an E team that gives up 29. Iowa, we know they score about 5 points a game and give up 12. Last week was a 28 over under, and they scored 22-0. They are better at home. 30.5. You got to go under with. At least you get 36 to play with. I think it's the only way you can go under. I don't know if you can trust Iowa to win. Illinois has been playing a little better. Last year, this would be a lock under, but not this year. Probably still a good under. USC, I'm not used to that. USC's playing UCLA now, like not the last game of the year. USC 6.5, 65.5. We've got to check on UCLA's quarterback. Just let's go to injuries. Well, let's look at USC as we're going by them. Wide receiver, 3 wide receivers questionable. Cornerback and a safety out. UCLA. Garber's quarterback probable. Schlee quarterback questionable. Moore quarterback questionable with the head. So this is their problem. They've got these quarterback injuries. Schlee's coming over from not Akron, from Kent State. So he was at Kent State last year. He's transferred to UCLA. Garber's, but none of them are really any good. I think Moore was okay. He was the freshman. He's got a head injury. So they got problems with 3 guys. And you're dealing with USC. Defense, very strong defense, UCLA, a 16. USC will have problems with the pass rush because they come right up the middle, the Twins, and they'll sack them 4 or 5 times. So over under 65. There's no way this is going to 65. I think under 71.5 is a joke in this. It's a very I don't really understand this over under. Because UCLA with the quarterback problems, but they have this great defense. So I'm not sure what you're really gonna find. Not sure what you're gonna find here. USC's not gonna light them up. Not UCLA. UCLA played Colorado. They beat them like 27-14 or something like that. I don't know if UCLA is going to win without their quarterback, but I think what they'll do is just run the ball. Chip Kelly, he's just going to run the ball on them and play the defense. And honestly, they'll put pressure. There's no way this is an under game. This is a USC. Without quarterbacks, I think USC wins it, but there is no fucking way this is going to be 55-45. Not with this defense on UCLA. So let's go USC against another strong defense. How did that work out? Oregon 36-27 and a 63. Utah 34-32. Notre Dame, they put up 48-20. Arizona was 28-28. They go to overtime. That's about it. So against Notre Dame, they scored 20. Against Utah, they scored 32. And against Oregon, they put up 27. I think that's what you're going to see here. You're not seeing, and against Arizona was 28. You're going to see a 30-point for USC. I think it'll be enough. If you look at UCLA, I mean, 7 on Arizona State, 10 on Arizona, 28 on Colorado. They're just not scoring. 42 on Stafford, 24 on Oregon State, 25 on Washington, 7 on Utah. I don't know where they're thinking there's going to. You think USC is going to win 60-10? I mean, is this what they're trying to say? There's no way. There's no way this is an over game. This is clearly an under game. UCLA is just not going to score. We'll take the Colorado game. It was, what was it, 24-10 or something like that. So, yeah, let's use the Colorado game as the point. The Colorado game, 28-16, a 44. Now, we know Colorado, it's a very similar strong offense, no defense. So 28-16, that's probably what you're going to get here. Maybe they get give USC like 30, and then I don't know. Well, it all depends. It's a big game for UCLA. Maybe the quarterbacks play. They're going to try to run the ball to keep the ball out of Williams, and they're going to pressure him with the Twins. The Twins are 2 defensive tackles from another, like Texas State, and they came and they transferred, and they're first-round draft picks. So look for USC to have a problem scoring here. Lou Lafayette and Troy, 16.5, 46.5. Lou Lafayette, they're on their 8th quarterback. A lot of problems there. They give up 29. Troy's strong defense. I'm going to make this our free play. Go Troy. Lay the 10.5. Fuck it. Instead of USC over and everything, let's go Troy. I like Troy this week. 10.5 to Lou Lafayette. Let's look at Lou Lafayette with a bunch of injuries. So Chris, their quarterback's questionable. Woldridge, their starter's out. Legjany is out in August. And even with that, I don't think they got much of a chance against Troy. Troy's pretty well. Let's check Troy's injuries. Just not that it matters. It's Troy. Troy's got a running back out September 3rd, so they're very healthy. All right. So go Troy, beat Lou Lafayette, beat Army, beat Navy. Troy is the man. Very strong team. This line started 14.5 up to 16.5. Yeah, Lou Lafayette, strong offense, but their defense is a 29. And as we've seen from Troy, they just shut you down. These defenses are bad. All right. Baylor, TCU. TCU, 12.5. What's wrong with Baylor this year, Alex? Baylor looks terrible. Where am I? TCU. Come on. Game is at TCU. It's the second game, but it's buried in here. Okay, TCU 12.5, 58.5. Hasn't moved. Baylor is a W team. They're not scoring. They're giving up 32. Shapen's back, but he's still not doing anything. TCU's getting better. Their starter quarterback's out. They're laying 12.5, a 25 defense. I think they beat Baylor. They played a good game against Texas, who's had their starter back. I think TCU gets them just because Baylor's not playing well. This would be a wonderful over 58, but what are you going to get from Baylor? So they've not been scoring. Sam Houston, Western Kentucky. Western Kentucky, 12.5, 52.5. They're the over team. They've been playing okay, 28 defense. Sam Houston, a W team. They don't score. They give up 26. I think Western Kentucky gets the W here. Notre Dame. Which Notre Dame shows up? 24.5, 46.5. They've been disappointing all year. They started off against Navy, and then after that, it's been what the fuck? They barely beat Central Michigan, 41-17, not to cover. Notre Dame, the 18 with the 17 defense, looked good against SC, but they scored defensively. They didn't score. Hartman's not lighting it up. Wake Forest under team. Let's take a look at Wake Forest. Can we take Notre Dame in this? Wake lost to NC State 26-6. Duke 24-21. Florida State killed them. They beat Pitt, who sucks. Virginia Tech killed them. Clemson 17-12. This is what I mean about Clemson. They beat them 17-12. Georgia Tech beats them 30-16. So very, so NC State, Duke. Who do we have here? Notre Dame, good defensive team. So they should beat them like 28-15, let's say. So what's the spread? 24. It's a little tough to lay the 24. Do we maybe go under? What was those scores? So let's see what Wake's been playing. 26-6 with NC State, a 45 with Duke, a 57 with Florida State, a 38 with Pitt, a 40. So they're playing pretty low-scoring games. Clemson at 29. So just an FYI there. So let's see. Are we in the 50s? 46. Notre Dame. Yeah, I think this is an under. I don't know. I think Notre Dame should beat them, but they've been playing, Clemson 16-13. So I think you can maybe play it under just because the defensive coordinator is so bad. And Notre Dame's defense is really good. And apparently Wake's defense is it's a 25, which isn't really that good. But they've been playing lower scoring games. So I think this is probably an under. Too many points with Notre Dame. They're just not scoring. Again, against SC, they were getting points, a fumble return, an interception. They weren't driving for it. Hey, Real D, what's going on? Anyway, we're doing college, and then we'll go to pro. My free pick is Troy. I'm being creative. Troy minus 10.5 over Lou Lafayette. The Air Force against Vegas. This is a very good game. Question is the Air Force quarterback. They lost to Hawaii because the quarterback got hurt. Let's see. Do we play him this week? 3.5, 47.5. Vegas, very good team. Over team with a 24 defense. Air Force, an 18 with the 15. The question is Air Force's quarterback. Well, let's look at Vegas while we're in the tees. Yeah, Vegas is healthy. So let's go to the Air Force. And Larrier, their quarterback's questionable with an undisclosed. So I don't know what that means. They got two wide receivers are questionable and a fullback. Now, normally you don't care, but in Air Force, you do care about a fullback because they play that power run game and they throw the ball to the receiver. So their offense is in trouble. Strong defense, 15 defense. Hmm. 47.5. Vegas, yeah, this is if the Air Force quarterback's out, this is a great under. Although Vegas scores, they give up 24, but they can score. Quarterback's out, you get 9.5 in Vegas, probably good under. This game should be under anyway. Vegas is a pretty good team. So Vegas, I think, I don't know if they can win the game, but with 9.5, I think they're probably a good play. Air Force clearly losing to Hawaii. It's a shake my head moment. Ohio State 27.5, 48.5 to Minnesota. Minnesota's terrible. They don't really, their quarterback stinks. Their defense is a 25, not that good. Ohio State 28. We saw what they did to Michigan State. They showed mercy in the second half. I had the game under, and I sweated my ass off watching Ohio State score every time they had the ball in the first half, and then I switched to a different game. And then the final was 38-3, and I'm like, oh wow, I won the under. I didn't think I was going to. It's weird how the second half comes, the team's not the same. 28, you go down to 22. They're going to kill Minnesota. Minnesota is not a good team. Their defense is not what it was. And Ohio State's on a mission. You can see that. They're looking. We're going to unload on the Michigan game, I think. Depending on what the spread is. The game is in what? This is 23. The game's in Michigan. Ohio State, we might get them. They might be a 7-point dog. It's the over-under I'm interested in. Give me a 50, and we're locking it under. So we hope it's Michigan 7-54, and we'll go Ohio State 13 and Ohio State's in under 60. That's what we're hoping for. We don't know if we'll get it. Michigan will be favored. Again, Michigan, even if they're Penn State, they really haven't played anybody. I mean, Penn State's offense, they couldn't complete a pass past 20 yards, and they still scored 15 on Michigan. So this was the best team they played, Penn State. All right, good team. All right, they beat them 24-15. Well, Ohio State's defense has been outstanding, and you give me anything in the 50s, and it's a double lock on Ohio State under. So it'll be the under in the game. But I'm waiting for that. So I like Ohio State here. They're on a roll. They their defense. I like because of their defense. They'll shut them out. Alex won a lot of money last year betting college basketball games live, targeting good home teams as favorites that get down early, then look for the live line value at +8 or higher. Hit last night with Campbell. Good for you, Alex. Like I said, I don't do the live betting. I don't understand it. I don't think I want to understand it. I can pick the game for you. Like I had Ohio State under, Michigan under was my teaser last week. I don't know what live would have been. But I don't want to worry about that. There's too many games I go through. I can't sit there and, watch them all. Alabama killed Kentucky. What would I have done with that? I've already got Alabama in a 35-unit lock. What am I going to do watching that game live? Or Georgia kill Mississippi by 50 points? I already got the bet in. I'm laying 4. I don't get what am I going to do live? It's like a free teaser in basketball. Or well, okay. Well, maybe. I don't know. I'll have to research it. At this point, I don't do it. So lots of value on live betting, heavy line adjustments. So, all right. So walk me through it. Ohio State's 28 over Minnesota. We teased it to 22. Now the game's going on. And it's what are we hoping? Minnesota takes a 7-0 lead and it adjusts down, and then we bet Ohio State because we still like that -22. Or if Ohio State takes a 21-0 lead, what do we do? Anything? So what's the value? Hoping that Minnesota scores and that lowers the line. I mean, this is ridiculous. All right, so it was 13-0. Okay, so we locked Alabama against Tennessee, right? I had Alabama -2 or something like that. It wasn't much. So it's 13-0 Tennessee. Now what do I do? Well, where am I going to find value? So Tennessee's up 13-0. What was the line then? Was Tennessee now favored? And is that for the game? So if Tennessee's up 13-0, what's the line? What do I bet? You look at the live line and determine the value. All right, so what was the Tennessee game? 13-0. What was the line? So the live line is what? Tennessee favored by 13 now, or Alabama still? Alabama was evened. That doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. I was only laying a few before the game, so now I'm even and I'm down 13. That would be value on Tennessee, and you'd have lost your ass because Alabama beat them by 14. So that's what the problem I have. The value, there was no value at Alabama even. If they're down 13, I expect to get Alabama +7, right? Or 10. I mean, they're down 13-0. Why aren't I getting points at Alabama? So even doesn't do anything. I've already teased them. I think I was laying 3 or 4 points anyway. It was definitely, I wasn't laying a lot of points. Yeah, I think it was close to even. It might have been the 7. I was laying 1. So they're down 13 and I'm still laying 1. It doesn't make sense. All I know is I had them and Alabama won by 14 and I won. So I don't see it. Do you think the mobile betting mess up the betting market? It's line value versus the regular line. Well, I understand what you're saying, but I don't see it. If Bama was getting 13, then I could take Bama in 13. So that's what I'm saying. So if well, let's look at so if USC 6.5 over UCLA. So let's say I take USC even. Now UCLA goes up 14-0. Am I getting 14? Am I got USC +14 now? And now I'll bet it at that thing, or is it still stay even because they still predict the outcome to be USC winning? See, that's where I'm at. Or let's look at Oklahoma BYU. Oklahoma 24. I bet it. I lay 18. BYU jumps up 10-0. Am I getting 10 points with Oklahoma now? That's value. Otherwise, if I'm laying 18 and the spread really doesn't move and they're down 10-0, then the whole thing's a scam, which is what I think it is anyway. Well, I bet you can't. I can't Bernie Madoff it. I can't bet after the game. So what am I going to do? Sit here and say, well, okay, guys, let's wait until the games are in action, and then I'll give you the picks. I mean, that's insane. No, I don't. That sounds stupid. Real D, do you think the mobile betting mess up the betting market? Well, if it's a true market, then it's supply demand, and it's basically what you're doing with it is you might have more action, and that's why I think I see these funny things happening. I think it was the Kansas game, right? Kansas at Iowa State. Iowa State's 1.5. Kansas just beat Oklahoma. Kansas is 1.5. Goes to 2.5 now. So Iowa State's now a 2.5 point favorite over Kansas. I believe it was Kansas. Might have been Oak State. No, I believe it was Kansas. And so I'm locking. I got a big lock on Kansas getting 7.5. Now it goes up to 8. Now I got 8.5 with the teaser. I don't know where that came from. Maybe that was more. So if there's more action, there's more line movements. But for what we do, it doesn't really matter. Just give me the line and I'll rip it apart and give you the winner. So if it's mobile, you get more action. Maybe the line moves funny, but I don't know. I don't think it messes up the betting market, but you have to know what you're doing. You can't follow the sheep or inversely follow the sheep. So in other words, if the line moves, I'm going to bet it because the line moves. Well, you can't bet like that. And conversely, the line went from 3 to 5, I'm going to take the 5 because I'm betting against everybody because they're all going to lose. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard of. Well, you don't bet every game. Lots of games you don't bet that might present a great live line value. I target good home teams that get down early. They usually come back. Don't be targeting Tennessee against Georgia. If you think Georgia jumps out, you're going to take Tennessee, you're out of your mind. I don't know. Like last week, I had Missouri. They killed Tennessee. What am I going to do live? That's, you've got to understand what, and you know this, is Oklahoma, BYU. Give me a score. Oklahoma's laying 24. BYU, Slovis is questionable. They haven't scored 10 points in a month. Oklahoma 56-10. Okay. What are you going to do in line? Even if BYU puts up a touchdown, you know Oklahoma's going to kill them, right? Because they can't lose. They lost to Texas, or they lost to Oak State, and they lost to Kansas. They can't lose. And we know Oklahoma's going to kill them. So what is this? What is the psychology of this free stuff? So I bet the game now. I lay 18 in a teaser. Boom. They're going to win. They're going to put up 50. And then how does the live? It's Oklahoma jumps up 21-0. Now what do I do with the live? And if I didn't bet it, now I got to bet it and lay more. I got to lay 40 points. I mean, this doesn't make sense. Home favorites, good teams that get down early, that's what you look for. Evaluate the live line for value and determine if you want to make the bet. But I'm doing all that now. I'm looking for I'm telling you to take Ohio State. They're going to kill Minnesota. I already found the value. I find it now. I don't. So the game's going on. I mean, so what? I got to watch, every game. How am I going to watch 25 games at the same time? Look at all the noon games. There's 10, 12 noon games. And 3:30. There's 15 3:30 games. What am I going to do? Watch every game and make my bets in the middle of the game? See, that's really a lot of noise, and it's really, I don't see any value in that at all. And more importantly, can you bet a teaser in it? It sounds like they're doing a teaser for you, right? So we got Oklahoma 24. They jump up 21-0. What are you going to do? Now the line's what, 45? BYU jumps up 21-0. Well, you just told me Alabama was down 13-0 and the line was even. I was laying 1. I was laying 1 before the game, and it goes to even. Can I bet a teaser and take Alabama +6 in this live crap? Well, then screw it. If there's no lying teasers, there's no point in it. Hey, Eric. There's no way you can make any money doing this live. I don't know how you do it in basketball, but in football, we're doing the teaser. So I got Ohio State -18. You want me to follow the game and then bet it without a teaser? It's going to be the same points that I can tease it for without the stress of watching all these games live. I mean, it's just insane. And I can't play a teaser on it. I have no interest. Yeah, so what? So go bet them straight then. Good luck betting them straight. That's all I can say. Been there, done that. I turn a 50% probability into an 80% probability by playing a teaser. So if I can't play a teaser in a live, and I guarantee you the odds suck, If you're telling me Tennessee's 13-0 and the spread was Alabama even, I already got Alabama -1 in my teaser before the game. And then when they came back and Alabama takes the lead, what does the line go to then? I don't see any value in playing a live bet because, frankly, how are you going to make the bet? How do you know what to make it? I study the teasers and I study how much to bet on them, and I vary my bets. Now, when it's peace and quiet and I don't, live, what are you going to bet on the game? How many units are you going to bet on the Alabama? So we got Oklahoma BYU. Oklahoma's laying 24. You're not gonna play it now. You're gonna wait for a live bet to do what with it? How many units are you gonna bet on it? Oklahoma goes up 21-0. What are you laying now? Are you laying 24? Or you're laying 40. That's my point. I'm expecting Oklahoma to blow them out. Why am I going to fuck around with this live action, hoping that BYU scores on them? BYU's not scoring on Oklahoma. Are you kidding me? Minnesota's not scoring on Ohio State. Oh, you want to get to these strange games. Oh, okay, so maybe Charlotte scores early on Rice. Oh, okay, if Rice's quarterback's playing. Okay, so I'm laying 2.5 with Rice. I tease it to +3.5 if the quarterback's playing. Charlotte scores 7-0. Now I'm going to jump on Rice because they're down 7-0. And you're saying, well, they're not at home, so I wouldn't even play Rice? Rice is a lot better than Charlotte. I could see. I don't care if they're at home. SMU Memphis, right up your alley. SMU 7.5. I'm going to take SMU -1.5. Bet 11 units on it. What do I need? I'm laying 1.5. They're going to win. What am I worried about? So live comes and Memphis goes up 10-0. Now what am I going to do? Let's say SMU goes up 10-0. Now what am I going to do? I want to bet SMU. I can't because now they're up 14-0. I'm not laying 7.5 anymore, and I can't tease it down to 1.5. You've screwed my bet up because I can't get the bet I want, which is SMU under a field goal against Memphis, right? So if SMU goes up 14-0, that line's gone. I've wasted that bet, and if Memphis goes up 14-0, I'm not sure I want to take SMU. I mean, look at our UCF Oak State game last week. Oh, well, Oak State, they got down. Well, am I going to bet them then? So this is the problem I have. You have to make your bet. I can make a good bet now, right? SMU -1.5, play with Ohio State. Where's the pay window? But I can't if I wait for the game. So if your theory is, Minnesota goes up 14-0. Now I don't have to lay 28. And my point is, but Ohio State's going to get up 35-0 like Michigan State. Now I'm fucked out of my bet. I can't lay 22 in a teaser. I can't even do a teaser. And I'm sure if they're laying 28 and Ohio State goes up 14, now what's the spread? Is it Ohio State -42 now? And my bet's fucked up because I didn't bet it where I wanted to bet it. Now I got to lay more points and I can't tease it. Yeah, I'm not going to win too many of those. No, I'm just disagreeing. I'm not agreeing to disagreeing. I don't do that. I just give you my logic. My logic says this is stupid. The value would be if Minnesota went up 14-0 somehow. The live line would probably be Ohio State -14, but you would have to determine if you like the bet. The value is 14 points. The value is not the 14 points. That's a terrible bet. I want to lay 22 because there's no way in hell Minnesota's scoring 14. So in your fantasy world where Minnesota goes up 14-0 over Ohio State, which is never going to happen, I'm fucked. You think BYU is going to go up 14-0 over Oklahoma so you can bet Oklahoma -10? Well, I don't want to bet Oklahoma -10 if they're down 14-0 to BYU already. That's my point, and that's never going to happen. They're going to kill Oklahoma. Maybe the USC-UCLA game, UCLA gets a defensive touchdown like they did against Utah, and they score. Can I bet totals in your fantasy world? So I want USC under 71. I want to tease it under 71. Are there unders and overs in this fantasy land of yours? It's usually on games you don't already have a bet on. Well, it sounds stupid. Live bets are usually on games you haven't already played. I hear that, but why am I watching it, and why would I make a bet on it, right? I played Michigan, Penn State under. There are live totals. Okay, so how would the total work on Michigan, Penn State? Right? They end up 24-15, 39. I played it under 55 or 53, I think. So I start teasing it. I'm under 53. The game's going on. Believe me, after the first quarter, that line moved down into the 30s. My bet's fucked because I can't. Not only can I not tease it, I want to go under 53. Sorry, Alex. It sounds like the stupidest thing I've ever heard of. Once you say it like that, and I gotta not bet, what do you think I'm doing here? I'm going game by game to try to look for weakness and strength and pick the winners in a teaser and the totals, like the USC under against UCLA. Why would I ever bet it live if I can't tease it? And then once it goes against me, I got to be watching the games. I got to go watch. There's look at it. I got 60 games here. You want me to watch 60 games and try to make a rush decision on what I want to bet, right? Instead of just calmly picking the games, going, yep, let's go with Georgia over Tennessee. That's it. 15 units, fine. I'll make a 15-unit bet on Georgia minus 4.5. Why do I want to fuck around with live betting? Is there an advantage? Do you think the odds are better? What's the line out? What's the juice? What am I? So now I can't seize Georgia. So Georgia goes up 7-0. Now what happens? I'm now laying 17. What are my odds? And I can't tease it. I don't have a problem picking two teams, as you see when we hit 7-team teasers and 5-team teasers. We know we're going to lose a few, but I'm going to lose them live. There's no benefit. Juice is 10%, 11-10. Okay. Which are what they are in a straight bet, but not in a teaser. Well, the teasers should be 11-10 too. I don't get it. I don't know. Maybe in basketball, you making money in basketball doing this. I'm happy for you. I don't follow basketball anymore since Magic Johnson and Larry Bird are not in the league. I don't care. I can't keep track of college, and I'm trying to run a football business, so I really don't have time for basketball. But this live betting is maybe in the pros when you've got the 4:00 games. You got what? Frisco, the Rams, the Jets, and Buffalo. Okay, you got 3. Maybe Miami's a 4:00 game. Or Carolina. So maybe you got 4:00 games. Maybe it works better there. But okay, Dallas 10.5 over Carolina. I want to tease it down to 4.5. I'm in at 4.5. Dallas goes up 14-0. How do you bet Dallas? No, what are you laying? 24 points? Is that a good bet? No. Because Dallas is going to ease up, but they'll cover 4.5. Can you get the 4.5? See, that's my point. Yeah, you're saying, well, Carolina will get up. Yeah, right. Carolina with Vince Young is going to light up Dallas. Oh, okay. What are you smoking? So that's what I don't understand is where in the hell that comes in. Frisco, Tampa. Oh, yeah, Tampa's going to light up Frisco, so I can bet Frisco cheap. I don't need to bet them cheap. I can do a Frisco Dallas teaser, and I'm laying 4 with both ways. With both teams, I'm laying 4. I don't need the stupid live line to get the 4 that I've already got. And if it goes the other way and the Niners are up 21-0, I can't lay 4 anymore. I'm now laying 21 points or 30. That's the problem with it, because I assume they're adjusting the 10 point. So Niners are 10 points. They go up 21-0. Now what's the line? 31? I don't see any game. What, the Jets will probably beat Buffalo. I can get 13 with them now. What am I going to do? They go up 7-0. I can't get 13 with them. This is the problem, that this live betting with no teasers doesn't make sense. Thanks, Gregor John. Hey, Nick. I'm not saying anything will happen. I just look at what's occurring live and seeing if there's value. I can go with the trap, but so I want to bet the Niners. I want to bet a teaser to the Niners, Dallas, and I'll lay 4 at both sides. And then I'm going to run to the window to cash when the games are over. I just look at what's occurring live and seeing if there's value. But if there's value, I've already bet it. There's value in the Niners laying 4, right? Even if Tampa Bay scores 7-0, I'm not worried about that. So are you saying Tampa gets up 7-0 and now I got the Niners -6? I already got a -4. I'm not going to get the -4. Now, if Tampa goes up 14-0, I'm not betting the Niners -2 if I'm down 14-0 already. But that's not going to happen because they just lost 3 in a row. They're on fire. They beat Jacksonville. They're not losing to Tampa. KC down in Super Bowl last year, they were +200 at half and knew they would win. Well, that's not a line. What was the line? Give me a line. Don't give me your money lines. You won $300 Monday night on Denver, or whatever you bet on it. You were +300. Did you need a fucking live thing to win the 300 that we talked about before the game? Denver was the play. They won the game. You had +300. What was so live? You never would have got 300 because they were winning the whole game. Except for at the end, they had Buffalo took the first lead at the end. Would you have gotten 300 live? No. So you'd have lost yourself a lot of money by not playing the game before the game. And if you're betting it after, what are you betting it after Buffalo took the lead with a minute left? Then what are you going to do? And Denver goes and wins the game. So you'd have lost. So the whole thing from a rational standpoint doesn't make any sense because I'm losing the teaser. I know I got to pick 2 games. Geez, I can't find 2 games, can I? I got 25 games in college and 10 in pro. I can't find 2 though. Hit at Super Bowl is probably around KC +3. Oh, halftime was KC +3. We already had KC in 9 in the teaser before the game. I don't see any value. -115 versus +200. I don't know what you're talking about, Nick. You told me Denver was +300. We had that conversation. So what's a -15? +200. KC down in Super Bowl. KC was not a -115. They were the dog in the game. You knew they would win? I didn't know they would win. I knew they'd win with 9 points. I didn't know they were going to win. The live bet was great. Didn't you already have a teaser KC in 9 or money line with KC already? KC +3, -115. If you played it straight, well, we know that. So +200 is even, right? Or what is that? You're +200, or you got KC +3 at +200? You wanted more easy money when you get it, all about to the hanging fruit. KC was not a lock to win the Super Bowl. They came out in the second half, but the way they played the first half, I was hoping to win with the 9. I mean, plus 9. I had plus 9 in the over. We won. I didn't, minus 1. Well, yeah, but that's a straight bet. So you're playing 115 on a straight bet. Okay. Instead of 115 on a teaser plus 9, the odds on you winning the plus 9 are probably 10 to 1 higher than the plus 3. I don't know if they wanted KC to win. I don't think it's not Ric Flair out there. They're not. Some of the games you're getting these stupid penalties. I think that's the totalitarian state they want. All these rules, all these penalties. But I don't know. KC was real. What was the score? I don't remember the score of the Super Bowl. How much were they down? That you got plus 200, which it doesn't make any sense. And you're talking KC plus 3. What was the money line? It wasn't 115. You're comparing apples and oranges. So the money line in the Super Bowl even is what you're talking about, plus 200. Then you're talking about a straight bet, and I'm talking about a teaser. My odds on a teaser plus 9 are the same 110. Plus, I went over. So I think the over was over near in the third quarter. But I don't get what was wrong with that bet. And then you're saying you're plus 200, which I assume is the money line. I don't remember Philadelphia being way up. Maybe they were. Maybe they got up 10 or 11. But I don't know. I'm not. It's way too busy to try to, maybe in a Super Bowl, there's one game going. On a Saturday, I'm not fucking around with that. I don't believe in it. I believe in the teasers, which make me a whole lot of money versus fucking around with a live bet. Oh, okay. Oklahoma, I'm laying 24. I tease it to 18. They go up 28-0. Now what? I can't make the bet on the game. I've just lost that game because I can't bet it because Oklahoma's now laying 40 and I could be laying 18. Is that, you know how these games go. Oregon jumped all over USC. You're fucked. You can't make the bet because now the spread's not the 18 that you had in the teaser. It's now 40 and you can't play a teaser in it. I understand what your point of view is. It's got nothing to do with extra units because according to Alex, he's not betting the games. He's not betting the games. He's waiting until the spread happens, and when he finds a strange game, he would have gotten buried in our Oak State UCF game. We liked Oak State. UCF goes up 7-0. It's 14-0. Now what are you going to do? You're going to bet Oak State now? It's already gone. Once you see that, I'm not betting on Oak State. What was the key game? Oklahoma. They lost 2 in a row. I'm gonna fuck around with a live bet on that. They go up 40-0. Now what am I gonna do? I can't bet at that. Oh, how about the Niners? I got the Niners plus 3 before the game. They go up. They win 35-3. When could I have bet the Niners in that? I can't because you're not talking about normal betting. You're talking about if Jacksonville got up 14-0, you can bet the Niners. It's a whole different animal because most of my reasoning for the bet is the emotion of a team who has their back against the wall, who's going to kick their ass. Oklahoma, San Francisco. I don't want to fuck with a live bet on those. What am I going to do that for? I know what's going to happen. Why would I not just bet it now? Take Frisco +3 and watch the score, and it's 35-3, and I got a W. Why would I fuck around with that? And if it's 14-0, how can I bet that game? So I don't get it. I don't get it. You're not letting me bet the games that I want to bet. I can't bet my strong games, and then so Ohio State, Oklahoma, I'm not supposed to bet. What kind of universe are you guys living in that's a good thing to do? Hey, Luke, what's going on with gold? Well, we're waiting. Well, obviously it's going to go up. I've been watching Money Heist. Okay, so I'm going to give you a quick example. Then I'll get back to my going through the college. And so I'm watching Money Heist, and they steal the 90 tons of gold out of the Bank of Spain. And the professor's smart enough to hold them hostage to get out of the bank. They go, we're not going to tell you that we've replaced it with brass. So they took the 90 tons, they stole it, then they returned 90 tons of brass. There wasn't even gold. And they said, either if you kill us, we'll tell everybody you have brass, and now you're fucked, or let us leave. And that's what they did. But the point was that he was holding the Spanish country hostage because without the gold, their credit rating went to 0 because they had no collateral, right? And so with 90 tons of gold's collateral, that will give you a loan, and if we can't pay you, we'll give you gold, I guess. And then I'm thinking, but the U.S., we don't have any gold. We don't have 8,000 tons of it. We have 0. We've sold it all. Why isn't the U.S. collapsing in the same scenario that Spain did? And the only thing I can come up with is people don't really know for sure we have 0. We can only guess it because they won't let us audit Fort Knox. And if we can't audit Fort Knox, we can't see there's nothing there, and then our currency won't fall, even though it's falling, and it's a debt problem. So we know the debt's there. So if I go to kind of combine Money Heist, the professor made a video showing he got the 90 tons out. Nobody's showing that Fort Knox has nothing. And even if there is gold in there, it's probably not ours. It's probably sold. So that's one of the problems. The other is the debt. The debt is what's killing us, and we're going under. And I showed you there's no digital currency. The Congress has to vote on it. They haven't even voted on it. There's no vote on the floor for it because the banks run the Congress, and the banks are saying, no, we're not doing digital currency because the central bank, we would have to deal directly with the central bank. The central bank's set up to deal with banks, not us. We go to Wells Fargo and Chase, not to whatever the central bank, whatever you call it. So it's coming. I think you're going to see it. I think right after the holiday. I think in January, and I think it's just going to blow up, and it's getting close. BRICS will do their gold-backed currency, and that's it. And really, it's just as soon as the faith's gone in the dollar, but people are too stupid to realize the dollar's gone. So this is what you're dealing with. You're dealing with the Joseph Goebbels propaganda machine that said, "Oh, Czechoslovakia fired on us," and it was Germans who fired on themselves to start the war. And that's what you're dealing with here. You're not dealing with the truth. So they'll print whatever, or they won't even talk about it. They'll talk about Israel. They won't talk about the recession and the inflation. They don't even know what inflation is. It's prices. No, it's money. And this is what you're dealing with. So there's really no point to it. So it's when nobody wants the dollar is when it collapses. And it's how close is that, Luke? I don't know. We know, so we're way ahead. That's why I keep throwing the Titanic out there. We've hit the iceberg. Me and you are on that Titanic. We quickly walk over, grab our gold, and go sit in a lifeboat. And we're going, okay, you can take us down now. While the boat just hit the iceberg, we're getting off, right? We can see what's going to happen. Boat hits iceberg, boat sinks, people on the lifeboat survive. Okay, we're getting on the lifeboat. Here they're printing the dollar to zero. People with gold will survive. Everybody else is going to sink, and that's what's really going to happen. And we will see. But that's basically it. And that's what I'm going to get into after football is problem solving, which is really what I do with football and what we do with gold and silver and the economy and women and poker and everything else, this live betting, trying to problem solve that. It's everything's problem solving. Everything is, what do I see? What do I do with it? And, like I got an email from somebody about doing an algorithm or doing stuff like that. They're trying to formula football, and I just laugh. I go, you can't do it. There's too many how would you plug it in? How would you plug the Niners on a 3-game losing streak off of a bye against Jacksonville? How would you plug that into a formula? And why do you even need a formula? You just bet the Niners after 3 losses. They're not going to lose to Jacksonville. Oklahoma destroyed West Virginia after their 2 losses. So how are you going to put that in a formula, and why do I need it in a formula? I know what's going to happen. So that's the whole problem solve. So what's the problem? Picking the game. Utah, Arizona, Utah 1.5, 44.5 is the problem. How do you choose to make money on that? Do you take Arizona? Do you take Utah, the over, the under? And that's why you analyze to solve the problem, which is what this is. This is what I like, because I like analyzing. But that's my point. As you can hear me from this live, I'm analyzing it extremely quickly, which they don't get. They can give me the scenario and how quickly did I analyze the problem? And I said, it doesn't work, right? And I'm making my point. I won a bet. Yeah. Well, Nick money line Monday night, he got 300. Had he waited in live, he never would have won 300, but he doesn't want to say that. He doesn't go there. He just goes, oh, look, in the Super Bowl, I won. But here it's a plus 300 if he bets Denver on a money line before the game. In line, he never wins 300 because Denver's winning the whole game. So he wins an easy bet, but he doesn't want to go there. He doesn't want to say that. So that's where everybody can kind of conveniently come up with something that they won, but they don't want to bring up the whole thing is just it's a Ponzi, it's a scam Ponzi scheme. That's all it is. I'm sure the odds are terrible and they're not real. Anyway, but that's how quickly I analyze it. So I can analyze it and say it's not a good thing to do. I'd rather just bet the teaser before the game. And if Alabama wins or if Denver wins, they win. I had Denver in 13. They won the game. What am I going to fuck around during the game for? I wouldn't have been able to make the bet because during the game they were winning and they never would have got 13. Oh, but I have to win 2 games in a teaser. Yeah, I can't do that. I can only pick 27 games out of in a teaser, but I can't pick 2. Okay. Anyway, so as soon as people don't trust the dollar is when the gold goes. Well, it's not even that. Gold will go through the roof when the BRICS start gold backing their currency. The dollar goes out when nobody wants the dollar, but that doesn't make gold go up. Gold goes up because we kill COMEX, which is happening very soon. And again, as I said with Alligator, he keeps saying, Well, it's not that the gold goes up, the money goes down. Well, alligator, the money's down 99% and the gold isn't going up. What the fuck are you talking about? What he doesn't understand is the physical price of gold will go. The gold will go up because it'll go from paper to physical. He can't understand that concept. It's too hard for him to understand it. He keeps thinking that 2000 is the real price, which it's not. And then he thinks, well, it's only going to go up because it costs more dollars to buy it, which he's wrong. Again, once it goes to a physical price, gold will go to $20,000, $30,000. Physical price, not the paper price. I don't know why he can't understand that concept. It just blows me away. He's a pretty intelligent guy, except for when it comes here. And then he only uses it for gold. All the other things, energy and all the other stuff he uses, he doesn't use the same. He doesn't use the same principles. He doesn't sit there and say, well, it's not that oil's going up, it's the dollar going down. Or it's not the electricity in my home is going up, it's the dollar going down. Only for gold does it, like, that's what he thinks. So I got alligator. I reamed him out pretty good. And I said, boy, you don't know what you're talking about. So I got to clean up these guys. Hey, 7-man out. Live betting is great for hedging and getting middles. I can hedge in teasers just as so I can play. Let's say Oregon minus 17 against Arizona State with Philadelphia as a dog on Monday night. And if Oregon wins, and now I got Philly and 9, guess what? I take KC minus 3 in a hedge, and I can't lose the Monday night game because either Philly and 9 wins or KC minus 3 wins, or I win them both. I don't need the live betting to do that. I'm going to do it in a teaser. And if you really want to make money, that's how you do it. You play a Saturday teaser with the Monday. I'd play every teaser with Philadelphia, and how many I win, then I go back. Let's say I'm up $5,000. Now I bet $5,000 on KC. I can't lose. I either win with KC, blows them out, or Philly wins. I win the Philly, or KC wins by 4, and I win both sides. So I got a much better middle. I got a 6-point middle guaranteed without any stress, without ever, if this happens and that happens and this happens and that happens. It's an automatic. So I can go play Troy's the free pick, play Troy with Philadelphia. That wins, bet Kansas City for whatever you bet. Oh, I like Georgia. Okay, bet them with Philadelphia. Bet all your teasers with Philadelphia plus 9, and then bet KC minus 3. You want to trap in middle? That's probably the best thing you're going to do. And it'll probably end up down to 2, and then you get 3 through 8 with KC winning. Should be a pretty good game. Philly and 9, they're not losing. KC minus 2 at home, probably a good play. And I've just middled 15 teasers, and I can't lose, right? That's how you really should play teasers if you like to, is you do that, and then, like I did on Auburn and the Florida State Auburn game, championship game. I had Florida State minus 1 and at least 10 teasers for $5,000. So I go in and bet $5,000. I think it was like 3,500 on Auburn plus 11. Florida State minus 1, Auburn plus 11. Florida State wins by 3. I win both. I couldn't lose. That's what you're looking for. So I ended it all with Florida State minus 1. And not every teaser, but a lot of them. But I loved Florida State minus 1. I saw the line. I said, this is ridiculous. But really, that's how you should play teasers. As you're saying, middle it. Bet is great for middling it. Yeah. Well, hedging and middling are the same. It's called trapping, actually. So what I'm doing is trapping the game. I'm playing Philly and 9, and then I'm playing Kansas City minus 3. It's a trap. I can't lose, right? I can't. One of them's got to win. They both can't lose, right? Philly and 9 wins. You might lose KC 3. KC wins. If KC wins the game, you win KC, you lose Philly. If Philly wins the game, you win Philly, you lose KC. If KC wins by 7, you win Philly, you win KC. So it's a very good game to do this middle end or trap or whatever we want to call it. Live betting, I don't see it. I honestly think it's a scam. I get you're making money at it. I think you're just being lucky. I think they'll adjust the odds. And look at now, there's teasers. You go to MGM, a fucking 2-team teaser that when I started in the 70s was even money. And they laughed at me. Oh, you got to pick 2 winners. It's a sucker bet. That's what I was told, right? So I get mad and I go, oh, really? I'll show you. That's how it started. Now it's 11-10 in most places. Go to MGM for a 2-team teaser, it's 13-10. What do you think is going to happen on this live betting? This live betting is to get more bets in. Believe me, it doesn't favor you; it favors them. This is me being creative, favoring us to figuring out how to pick it. But I can't do it live because it would be a mess. I can't think like that. It would never work. Maybe in the Monday night game, but if I'm looking Saturday afternoon and I got Michigan game, the USC game, the Oklahoma game, the Oregon game, the Purdue, Ohio State, all going at the same time, how the fuck am I supposed to sit there live betting? I'm going to sit there for 3 hours going, you got to be kidding me. I couldn't do that. Mm-mm. And why would I not want to bet those games? Why am I not betting Michigan, Ohio State, Oklahoma, Oregon? Why aren't I betting those? So you're telling me not to bet them, wait until the game's going, and then Ohio State takes a 28-0 lead, and now I got to lay 40? Are you kidding me? I know the way football works. They'll never win. Look at Michigan State last week. I don't know what the spread was at halftime of Ohio State. They're up 35-0. What do you think the spread was? I had the game under. I was under 53, I think. I think it was 47, and I was under 53. Sweating my ass off, 35-0 at half, going, oh, my God, they're going to score 70 points. And then I turned it back on at the end. It was 38-3. I'm going, hey, I won. How did I win that? But you got to – when you're as critical of a thinker as I am, an analyst, I'm doing all that right up front. I'm making us money right up front. I mean, I'm sorry. My 35-unit lock at Alabama and San Diego, once I saw it, that was it. I don't know what else you would have done. I mean, would you have waited? The Lions were up 17-3. Then you're going to bet San Diego. And what was the spread? Probably 7 or 8. You got lucky. What would you do later in the game when it's now 31-31? Now you got San Diego 9. I got San Diego 9 from the beginning. Now it's 31-all. You're going to bet. What are you going to bet on? Oh, you're going to bet Detroit even? Good luck. So I don't really see. You don't know the outcome. You can see it. I know what the outcome I'm predicting is going to be with the points I get. So like I said, Oregon, Arizona State. So I lay 17. I'm predicting that Oregon's going to really shut them down because they're showing this great defense. So if they go up 35-0, I know Arizona State's coming back. Really? Against this defense, I don't know that. They can't lose because they lost to Washington. They must win the game. So why would I fuck around with it? So I don't know what the Iowa game's over under at 30. I can tease it under 36. So what? I'm watching the game and it's 6-0. And they're going into the third quarter. It's 6-3. Now what do I do with it? Oh, I'm going to bet them under, but I can't tease it. So I got to bet them under what? 9, 10? You boys are asking for a lot of trouble doing this. You're getting lucky doing it, but I guarantee you the odds will start going against you. It's sort of like I don't know, like the Wicked Witch at the gingerbread house, right? Here's the chocolate, here's this, and then so she starts feeding them all the sweets, and then they go into the oven. So it's kind of like that's what I think this is. The odds will start getting worse. They'll understand how you're betting and start adjusting to it. And the biggest part is you're missing the bet now, right? Oklahoma goes up 28-0 on BYU. You've missed the bet if that's your point. Okay, you bet Oklahoma minus 18 and it's 28-0. You're not betting BYU. You're not trapping it. Your only hope is if BYU goes up 14-0. Good luck on that happening. Anyway, off topic here. TK, I like the Dolphins against the Raiders. Okay, good for you. Let's see. All right, let's go back to the lines. I think we talked Oregon. Okay, Oak State, 6.5, 59. Let's go back into the real world now. Oak State, 6.5, 59.5. Oak State's an E team, red hot, and then ran into UCF last week. Kind of a running quarterback in Plumlee. Obviously a bad matchup for them. Here they get Houston. Donovan Smith's not that good. Oak State, been explosive. They got the great running back in Ollie Davis. Again, I think Oak State beats them. Again, you got them even. The question is, how bad did that game affect them last week? And they didn't really run Ollie Davis that much last week. They ran him a little bit. So, not sure. Auburn, 23.5, 48.5 to New Mexico State. This could be a tighter game. New Mexico State plays well. You got to check Pavia. He is hurt, but he's questionable. So if he plays, I think you go over because I think he'll score on you. He'll score for New Mexico State on Auburn. UCF T-Tech. UCF. The motherfuckers beat our Oklahoma State last week. Now, you can't be like that. I can't bet UCF because they beat Oklahoma State. If it's a good bet, you bet it. So T-Tech, 2.5, 59.5. UCF's an over team, 27 defense. T-Tech's is kind of a B team because they got a 24 defense. I think this is an over game. I think they're going to have a hard time stopping Plumlee in this UCF offense if Oak State couldn't. Texas Tech scores. I don't think the UCF defense is all that strong, although they did a number on Oak State. So I think over is a pretty good play. South Alabama, 10.5, 48.5. Down from 51. The Sharps are betting the under. Marshall E, give up 29 a game. South Alabama's a B, gives up 21. Their quarterback's been a little banged up. I think he played last week. Marshall's got a strong running back in Ali. Over under 49. Seems kind of low. Maybe over 43 with Ali at running back. Old D, George Southern. Well, it's on here somewhere. There it is on the bottom. 6.5, 60. Georgia Southern's an over team, gives up 28. Old D's an E that gives up 27. I think it's an over game. I think Georgia Southern, I know, can score, and Old D, I think, is not. I think they got a pretty good quarterback. I think this is an over game. Cal and Stanford, their quarterback is injured, but will he play? Daniels. Now they've been lighting it up, and then until last week, they didn't light it up. No, I think they did last week. It was 10-7. That Washington State game's got me so confused. Because normally, if you're putting up 40 points a game, you don't put up 7. You don't beat Washington State 10-7. So Cal 6.5, 55.5. Big rivalry game. This is the Elway band game. Boy, this went down from 58 to 55.5. If the quarterback plays, I got to love the over. Look at these defenses. Cal 37, Stanford 37. Cal's got a really strong offense. Stanford sometimes has a strong offense, like against Colorado when they put up 30 or 40 points in the second half. They had another high-scoring game, and then they had nothing. So check the quarterback, but I think it's an over. It's a rivalry game. They're gonna every fake punt and fourth down, which leads to higher scoring games. Kansas State 8.5, 56.5, down from 10. So K-State was 10, 8.5. K-State's won the last 10. I checked that yesterday. So K-State wins every game. They're 8.5. K-State's an A team, 18 defense. We saw what they did with Texas. They got down, and then they scored the whole fourth quarter. Boom, 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 3 or 4 touchdowns. Kansas is really an over team. They give up 26. They score a ton. Now, last week they lost their quarterback, Bean, so they didn't blow out Texas Tech, which I thought would be the over. And but Bean is probable this week already, so he's playing. I saw the play. He hurt his head. It was a weird. He kind of ran, and then I don't know. He just kind of slid, and next thing you know, he was out. So I really didn't see it. This is sort of like Brock Bowers. He hurt his ankle. I watched the play. He just ran, got to the 2-yard line, ran out of bounds. I didn't see anything. Must have been the way he landed, I guess. Anyway, I like Kansas getting the 14.5 here, or the over. I think the over is good also. Kansas State, we know, is going to score. But I guarantee you Kansas, as long as Bean plays, will score on Kansas State. 56 over 50. Definitely like, provided everybody's healthy, Bean and Howard are healthy, this is definitely an overplay. Because Kansas, they put up the 38 on Oklahoma. They're going to put up in the 30s on Kansas State, and Kansas State against Texas scored 21 in the fourth quarter. So I think this will be a high-scoring one. Boise and Utah State, 2 over teams. We've got Boise 3.5, 64.5. Again, this is an over game. Boise gives up 27. Utah State gives up 32. They both score a ton. This is an easy over. Kentucky 1.5, 54.5. This is actually an over game. Kind of weird though. South Carolina is actually an over team with Rattler, even though he sucks and he doesn't show up against Alabama and Georgia or Missouri or Tennessee. They see this is where they're probably scoring against the high school team in the beginning. And then Kentucky, we know their defense is not as strong as it appears. That's why I got an over on it. It's not a rivalry game. It's a 54. Over 48. I think they get there, but it's not your typical over teams, but they happen to be over points. Oregon State 2.5, 63.5 against Washington. Why is Washington the dog? I mean, this is just insane. I mean, Washington, I think, wins the game straight out. We get 8.5. No. Thank you, God. I mean, what else can you say? Arkansas, 29.5, 49.5. Florida International is a W team, give up 29. Arkansas is an even that gives up 27. Arkansas put up a lot of points last week against Florida. It was like 38-36. Maybe they're back. They should kill Florida International, but they've been playing such weak offense this year. Florida, Missouri. Missouri, 11.5, 58.5. I like Missouri. They're playing really well. They just killed Tennessee at home. They're going to kill Florida at home. Florida's not that good. If you really want to play, you can play the over 58. Florida's a 27 defense. Missouri's a 22. Again, I note the Georgia-Missouri game of 31-20, or 30-21, something like that. They win by 9, and they get to 51. I had the under in the game. I got lucky. No, I had the over in the game, and I got lucky. I just got enough. I got a field goal at the end to win it because I thought Missouri's good. And they do score a lot. So I look for Missouri here. I look for them to win, and they are a very good team. They're an A team with a 22 defense. Florida's got a 27, so just based on that, Missouri's not going to have a problem scoring on Florida. So if you think Florida's going to score, you go over the 52. If you don't, you just take Missouri. But I think Florida can score a little bit. Nebraska, Wisconsin, our lone under here. Wisconsin, they're both unders. Wisconsin 6.5. It's down to 4.5. Wisconsin 4.5. 36.5. They're both unders. Nebraska's an 18. Their quarterback's hurt. Wisconsin's quarterback's hurt. Is the 20. I actually I think the total is high enough. I can go under. I think 37. So I can go under 43. There's no way this game's getting there. This game will be in the 20s. Georgia Tech, 6.5, 53.5 to Syracuse. Syracuse is really not scoring a lot with the 22 defense, which I don't believe. And Georgia Tech is an over team with a 31. I like this game over. Georgia Tech's a very high scoring team without a defense. Syracuse will score on them. They'll open it up, and 47 is all. That's a joke. Yeah, I like that. Georgia Tech, like Iowa, you go under, and Wisconsin, you go under. Georgia Tech, you go over, and Oregon State, you go over. Washington's an over. LSU's an over. So you got certain makes on certain teams. LSU, we're going over with the game, and you just know that's what you're doing with it, unless the spread's like 78 or 80. And you just go from there. So that's kind of what you do. All right. LSU, well, here you go. 31.5, 71.5. There's only one problem here. Georgia State. Are they going to score? And I did an analysis on Georgia State, part of my problem solving for this game. And I came to the conclusion Georgia State is not an over team. They only score 17 in the last 4 or 5 weeks, and they give up 34. I had them as an over team with a 29. They're not an over team if you take out the first few weeks and you just go in conference or against LSU. They're probably not going to score much. LSU is going to put up a 50 on them. So the question is, do I go 25 or do I still go over 65 if I think Georgia? So I'm going to get 50 from LSU. So the question is, how much am I getting it from? I need 65. I got 50. Let's say I need 14 points. Am I going to get 14 points from Georgia State? If not, I can just take LSU minus 25. So it's either LSU minus 25 because Georgia State won't score enough to get over, or Georgia State's going to score and I can't win with the 25, and then I bet the game over. I know LSU is going to put up 50. Texas and Iowa State, interesting game. Texas A team, 7.5, 47.5. Texas is an A team, gives up 18. Iowa State's an E that gives up 20. 47 is the over-under. So Texas, we know, is an 18. The quarterback's back. They give up 18. That's why I played them under with Kansas State. 2 good unders, and Kansas State lit them up, and Texas lit them up. Iowa State, an E team, gives up 20. They've been throwing the ball with their new quarterback, Rocco Brecht. He's got like 12 touchdowns and about 9 interceptions. And he likes throwing pick sixes. It must be a stupid play where he does an out and he can't read it and he throws it behind and the guy picks it. So Texas, did they lose a game? Or are they undefeated? I don't remember. I think Texas is undefeated, aren't they? No, I'll tell you in a minute. No, they lost the game. Who did they lose? Oh, they lost to Oklahoma. That's right. Jesus Christ. So Texas has to win. They lost to Oklahoma, but Oklahoma lost 2. Oklahoma State now lost 3. And Kansas State is there. Kansas was there, and they lost. So it's Kansas State. Texas beat Kansas State and Oklahoma so Texas is in the driver's seat, so they must win. I think they beat Iowa State only laying 1.5. 47. I don't know what you do with it because I don't know. Iowa State, they've been playing under. Texas, strong defense. So maybe an under, but Texas minus 1.5, I think. See, now here's my point to your live stuff. I can get Texas minus 1.5. So you're not going to bet it, and you're going to hope Iowa State takes a 10-0 lead, and you get what, Iowa State? Do you think you're going to get better than 1.5? No. He'll probably go down to a field goal or something. They're not stupid. They're not going to give you Texas plus 7. Even if Iowa State goes up 21-0, you're still not getting Texas plus points. But you missed the bet is my point here. Texas minus 1.5, probably good. Anyway, that's my problem-solving brain and your life stuff. Fresno State, 23.5, 56.5. New Mexico's an over team, 36 defense. Fresno is an A team. Mikey Keene's playing. Give up 24. I think Fresno State kills them here. Mexico has not been scoring well lately. Otherwise, this would be an easy over. But you got a team that gives up 36 to Michael Keene, and they lost to San Jose State. So if everybody's healthy, Fresno State will kill New Mexico. And last but not least, San Diego State, San Jose State, our 10:30 game Saturday night. Good God. San Jose State, 14.5, 49.5. San Diego State's a W team with a 28 defense. So that means they don't score a lot. San Jose State is an over. We like Corbero, their quarterback, with the 27 defense. I don't know. The over-under is 49. I think it goes over because San Jose State's going to get there. They'll get the 40. San Diego State's not the strong defense and run the ball as they usually are. So I think San Jose State. I don't know about the 8.5. It's weird. I could, who knows, but I think it's an over just with San Jose State. So that's your college. You're now getting into the point with teams trying to win their divisions, right? Texas and Oklahoma, Alabama and Georgia clinched their side. I think Georgia clinched. But they still need it Alabama will not stop winning because they clinched the East. They still have to, they can't lose or they won't be in the playoffs with 2 losses. You got Washington undefeated, Oregon with 1 loss. You've got Michigan, Ohio State undefeated. Well, one of them's going to be undefeated. So you got Michigan, Ohio State winner. You got Washington if they keep going. If Oregon beats them, they should be in. You don't want to see Oregon in a playoff. I'll tell you with that defense. Key is the defense. Then you got Florida State and you got Georgia. I mean, Georgia's not going to lose to Alabama. They don't have the quarterback play to beat Georgia. That's for damn sure. They won't let him run all over them like these other teams. So Georgia, Florida State, Oklahoma, Oregon, Washington, Michigan, Ohio State, and Texas. So wait a minute, we could only have 4 teams in. And what I hate is when they say, well, yeah, but you can only have 4 teams in. And they keep saying, well, there's only 1 or 2 teams anyway. Oh, it's either Alabama or Clemson. That's it. Nobody else can win. And then Joe Burrow shows up and he kicks both their asses. And then you've got Georgia and Oklahoma, Texas, and Washington, Oregon, and Michigan, Ohio State, and Florida State. You got 5 teams, but in a 12-team playoff, you got Oregon and Washington, Michigan and Ohio State, Alabama and Georgia, 6, Florida State, 7, Oklahoma and Texas is 8. And then we throw in, somebody from the Mountain West and, Conference USA and the Sun Belt. No back, though. Keep the back out of it. Or maybe Notre Dame sneak. Well, no, they're so bad this year. They're the best bad team I've ever seen. How do you have Hartman in the defense and a good running back, and you lose the games you've lost? Are you okay? Terrible coaching. So this is where the shift now takes place. We need it to win the conference. We need it to make a bowl. We need it. We're looking ahead. Michigan, Ohio State. It's in 3 weeks. They're looking ahead. Michigan's got Maryland. Then I think they got Illinois or something, and then they got Ohio State. So they're looking ahead. They've had the easiest schedule I've ever seen in my life. And they've got Penn State, maybe didn't really give them a game, and then here comes Ohio State, and now Ohio State will give them a game. This will really tell you what Michigan is. It only took 14 weeks, but we will figure out Michigan when they play the only team that's any good. What a schedule. And here you got Oregon, Washington State, Oregon State, Utah, USC, all these teams that they got to go through. And here's Michigan playing high school team. Unbelievable. Greg or John. I don't know how much you're going to pay me for my information, Greg or John. You want to ask questions? How much you want to pay? This is a business, Greg or John. You gotta fork over money. So let's quickly look at the pros. We got Baltimore 3.5, 46, up from 45. We got Pittsburgh. Wow, what's happening here? Pittsburgh went from +4 to -1.5. Total goes to 33.5. I assume Deshaun Watson's out, because that would affect the spread. And yeah, Deshaun Watson's dealing with a fracture in his shoulder and has been placed on the injured reserve. So with that good news, the game turns into an under. So now we've got Watson's out, P.J. Walker. See, now I didn't need to know the injury. I let the spread tell me the injury, right? Cleveland -4. Now this is an advantage of betting the game early. Now, if you're friends with Deshaun Watson or somebody on Cleveland, or you know somebody and they say Watson's not playing, and Pitt's -4 or Cleveland's -4, you get Pitt in 10 without Watson. Now the news comes out. So this is how the stock market works. This is how gold's going to work. The people that know have already made the bets, right? We've already bought the gold. Now, when it's announced, then it goes to the moon. We're already in it. We already know that information. If you buy a stock, it's the same thing. You have the stock, but the people behind the scenes already know that Microsoft's going to hell, or Apple's, nobody's buying it, or Coke's coming out with a new product or something. And so they've already bought it as soon as they heard the news. And then the news comes out, and then everybody's fucked. And that's what it reminds me of here. Where they're, you're telling me people didn't know they made Cleveland -4. Why was Cleveland -4? Did you telling me Vegas didn't know that Watson had a shoulder injury? Really? That wasn't, you couldn't see it. Last week, I remember there was a play just before half where PJ Walker comes in because they're at the 50 and there was like 2 seconds left, so he's going to throw the ball in the end zone. And they took Watson out, and you're going, Watson can't throw the ball 50 yards? Like, what's going on? And now you understand why. He had a shoulder injury. So keep that in mind. But why was there a line at all? That line should have been off the board. Is Watson injured? And now here it's Wednesday today. No, Tuesday. Wednesday. The fuck day is it? Wednesday. So Wednesday comes, and now he's out with the shoulder. Now he's out. I could have bet the game Monday, Sunday, Tuesday. I mean, I like the Steelers. I got dog written, but now I don't know that this makes Pittsburgh a 1.5 point favorite with our friend Pickett. I don't know that. I think it makes the game an under, but I don't know that I'm all over it just because he's out, that I'm now jumping on Pitt. Houston, 4.5, 47.5. Hasn't moved. Again, Kyler Murray's back. San Diego, 343.5 to Green Bay. Okay, Herbert against Love. Washington, 9.5, 36. I don't understand this line. Washington couldn't beat. They couldn't beat UCLA by 9.5. I don't really get this line. It's way too high. They're looking at the Dallas beating the Giants. Like it's not the same matchup. They're not playing Dallas in Dallas. They're playing at Washington. Washington can't beat anybody by 9.5 with Thurston Howell III. So again, Danny DeVito, but still. Jacksonville, 740.5 to Tennessee. I think it's Levis against Lawrence. We'll have to, tighten that up. Detroit, 8.5, 47.5, down from 10. This is interesting. What's going on here? Yeah, the total went up. This is really strange. All right, let's check injuries here. Or is it the Sharps betting on the Bears? Give me a break. Detroit injury. Oh, the long snapper's out for Detroit. That's got to be worth 2 points. The Lions have a cornerback out for the year, a safety out for the year, an offensive tackle. They got the guy from Minnesota, Mohamed Ibrahim, but they never play the guy. He's practice squad. He's better than their starting runners. He's the practice squad. And where's Herndon Hooker? Why isn't he playing? The Bears. What's going on here? So why is the line moving? Justin Fields, questionable with the right thumb. Yeah, like we want him. I'd rather have the grocery store clerk playing. Interesting, though. Definitely makes a difference. The 10 down to 8.5. Miami, 12.5, 46.5. Up from 11. Down from 47 to 46. Dallas, 10.5, 41.5. Against Carolina. We got the Niners, 11.5, 41.5, up from 10. Wow. So the 10s went up. Well, Dallas 10.5. Miami's 12.5. Frisco's at 11.5 and 41. Seattle 146.5. The Bills 7-40 to the Jets, Jets. Denver 2.5, 43.5. Up from 1.5 and up to 43 from 42 against Minnesota. And there you go. KC, the perfect line, 2.5, 46.5. So you could trap this Philly KC game. You could take KC and 8.5 in every teaser, and then come back with Kansas City minus 2.5 and middle of the game. And KC wins by a field goal, you're a rich man. And really, from a business standpoint, is the best thing you could possibly do. We can only find 30 or 40 games to put it with. Just play them all with Philadelphia. You can't lose. And then you just, okay, and all I need is Philadelphia to win, and you bet KC back minus 2.5. And you can't lose. And probably you'll win them both. I can see this game being close. I can see KC winning by 3 or 4 points at the end. They'll make the field goal. Buckner makes the field goal. They win 24-21 or something like that. And you're like dancing in the streets because you've got 35 teams with Philly and the middle with Kansas City minus 2.5. And I actually think that's a very good way to play this. This could be the perfect game to do everything and make a fortune. You guys with your live things, you want to make a fortune, then do this. You'd make a fortune with this because, okay, I'm playing Michigan, Philly, Oklahoma, Philly, Ohio State, Philly, Texas, Philly, boom, 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 Philly. And I got 10 grand now on Philly, and then I bet 10 grand on Kansas City. I bet 9 grand, and then I can't lose because I didn't bet. I lose juice. I don't even do that. I bet less on KC because I've got all the teasers with Philly. So I got 10 grand on Philly. So I bet, let's say, 9 grand on Kansas City. And I either win the 10 and I lose the 9, or I win the 9 and lose the 10. Or I win 19, and this is probably what's going to happen. I've seen it before. I did the same thing back Earl Campbell against the Steelers. Houston was a 2-point favorite over my Steelers. So I had everything. No, it might have been the other way around. I had everything on Houston, and then I played Pitt minus 2, and they won by 3. But it works a lot, especially with this line. Like, you can't fuck around like Washington 9.5, and I'll take what? What am I going to do? Take Washington minus 3.5, then take the Giants at 9.5? Yeah, the odds on that winning are 0. But here, Philly and KC are a very good way to do it. Well, Greg and John, I think you're smart enough, man, to make your decision. Anyway, so we'll get more into it. We got to check the injuries. But, yeah, the Pitt game is a surprise. And then the others, I'm surprised the Lions went down. I'm not surprised Frisco and Dallas went up a little. Miami's tough. They don't have a defense. who knows what Oakland? All of a sudden they got a new coach. They've turned it around. I mean, come on. But this reminds me of the 1974 game in Oakland. On the Hail Mary at the end by Stabler. Now that was football. I saw the Lions do the Dave Casper play, kind of. They was fourth down. They faked it into the line. The tight end ran out, and they threw it to the tight end, but it wasn't as good as the Raiders. They're not smart enough to do the Raider play. Casper would line up on the right side of the line, and he'd fake a block, get up, and then cut across, and he'd be wide open. And the Lions play was the tight end didn't block. He just went, and it was a very tough catch, and he wasn't really that much open. That's how the Lions do the Dave Casper play. They can't just do the Dave Casper play. Anyways, that's what you're looking at is probable outcomes and problem solving. So how do you problem solve women? It's very difficult because you've got to understand all the variables, which is not shown to you. Women have a way of hiding their emotions and hiding their feelings, and what you think you're getting, she smiles at you, but she doesn't mean it, or she's not smiling at you, but she is. She wants to smile at you. You can't get good information. She won't talk. She's got to wait and listen to what her girlfriends say. So it's extremely difficult to problem solve girls. Because you don't know what to look for, or what you look for with one girl is not what you look for in the other girl. Sort of like football, what Baltimore is going to give you, not what Pittsburgh's going to give you. But that's what you're trying to do is problem solve it. And then you're just trying to decide, do I want to go out with her or not? Yeah, she's pretty, but she's bitchy, or she's not that pretty, but she's real nice. What do you want? She's just after me for my money, so you got to problem solve that. So that's really the key to that. When you're playing poker, you're problem solving the guy. What does he do? If I bet, does he bet? Does he raise when I bet? If I check, does he bet to bluff me because he thinks I don't have a hand? If I just call him, if I raise. So you're trying to do that with each player at the table to figure out when you play seat 2 or seat 4 or seat 6, how do they react? Are they bluffing or not? So that's really what you're problem solving in poker, at the craps table, at roulette, at blackjack. You're problem solving. And the problem is, how do I win? When we're doing football, how do I win? That's what you're problem solving. And that's what you're looking to do. How do I win? And the key to how do I win is, what are my variables? Do I get good? Do I understand all the variables? Okay, Pittsburgh, Cleveland -4. Deshaun Wilson's out, or Watson. PJ Walker's in. Variables just changed. Now, how do I analyze Walker to come up to problem solve? And the problem is, how do I bet this game? Do I take Pitt, Cleveland, over or under? Now the quarterback's changed, so this big variable has changed. Okay, math algorithm guys, how do you fix that? How do you switch your formula that now that there's an injury to the quarterback? How much does it really matter? These BetMGM guys crack me up. Oh, we have it in my model, and I'm like, oh God, yeah, the model really works. You wouldn't know how to work a model if it just sat there. That's the bullshit of it. That's why I get a little bit up when you guys are doing fantasy shit. You can't win. You've got to have a very strong process to analyze games, to problem solve them. And you've got to know the variables that are important and not important. Hence, an under team, an A team, a Z team, an over team. What kind of defense do they have? Because that's, at the end of the day, is how you pick the games, is the defense. Is it really a good defense? San Francisco's a 16 defense. Is it really a 16? Fuck yes. How do they lose? A guy missed a field goal at the end. You ran into Joe Burrow. Good luck with that one. and he still didn't light it up, but that's the countermeasure. But here, like Frisco against Tampa, you got Mayfield. Okay. They're a 19 defense. Okay. Maybe a low scoring game. Maybe. And 11 and a half. See, this is where you get into totals. Do I want to fuck around with a 5.5 in pros, Frisco, Tampa, when if they're up 3 near the end of the game, they just take a knee and you get fucked. Or they're up 10, the other team scores the touchdown. Now they're down 3 and they're going to onside kick you and you're fucked. So, because once they get it, your team doesn't try to score anymore. They're up 3. You're fucked. This ain't college where they're trying to put on a show and get into the playoff by putting up a 50-point game. So you've got to look at all the variables in Tampa Bay and in Frisco and try to pick a score. And, that's the key to it, is getting all the variables that are going to affect this game. Is McCaffrey injured? No, he's fine. Purdy, he's fine. Deebo Samuel, hey, Frisco's not injured anymore. Frisco lost 3 in a row. Now they got the win. Now they're at home. Katie bar the door. They're going to keep, Oklahoma. They're not going to be flat after losing 2 games in a row just because they won a game. They're still pissed off. They're like, okay, we need to keep winning. So that's what you have here, and then you got different ones, Buffalo and the Jets. How do you factor that in? We had Denver over Buffalo, and it not only plus the 13, but it won the fucking game. So do we take the Jets in the same variables that we did? Probably, except for you had a better. Well, I'm going to say that Sean Payton's a better coach than the Jets coach. But the key was Russell Wilson on Denver scoring touchdowns. And Zach Wilson is not the same animal, which is ironic because Zach Wilson actually beat Russell Wilson when they were having trouble. But now Denver's a whole different team. Is the Jets a whole different team? That's how you got to get the variable for it. We don't know. And that's what you're trying to establish. Is Zach Wilson going to move the ball on this Buffalo defense? How pissed is Buffalo? Well, they keep losing. I don't know how good they are. You beat the Giants 15-7, and Dallas beat them 49-7. You're not playing good. You lost to fucking Jacksonville. I mean, give me a break. So Buffalo is not Buffalo anymore. We have to determine who they are, but they're not Buffalo. They're not this strong. They'll be like, I don't think they'll win the division. I still think the Jets can win the division. Miami can't beat a good team. Buffalo can't seem to beat anybody, and New England sucks. So we'll see what the Jets do. But, best game, Philly, KC. What are the variables? Okay, we know that. And who's got the better defense right now? Kansas City is the 16. So that's why we're looking at the defense. In the pros, it's a little different because they're not playing the college games or the Division II games or the high school games or, they're playing New Mexico State this week. Well, they're pretty good this year, but that's what Alabama pulls that shit. Oh, we're playing Tennessee, Chattanooga. Well, you don't get that in the pros. And so, therefore, you don't get the same skew. You're pretty much a 16 defense is 16 defense. So that's what you look at is you try to get you try to get that all the variables, and what you're doing is problem solving, and that's what you do in everything. You do it in life. You do it with girls. You do it with poker at the casino, and you do it with gold and silver, and you do it with jobs. You got to problem solve. Do I want to work here or not? And that's really what you're looking to do. You get an offer. You're at a job. Do I want to stay? I mean, at Toyota, I looked at it and said, fuck, I'm getting out of here. And I started applying, 4 months into the job, like, this is not for me. Alabama sucks. I made a mistake. So I just got out of it, though. I didn't freak out. I just, okay, well, I got myself terminated on purpose so I could not have to worry about paying back the $7,500 relocation, which was a joke. That was really bad news. And That if you're ever relocating, that should be your first question. What do I get? And if it doesn't work out, do I still owe it? And how much, do I still owe 10 grand to you if I don't like the job, if it doesn't work out? Because now I'm moved here and now I got to move back and, all that shit. So that's really the key to it. So you've got a lot of variables to answer. The biggest variable at work is your job and it's the activity in your job and your boss. That's what makes the job. If you know what you need to get done and you have the tools to do it. So in other words, I need to do a budget. Okay, do I have access to the managers? Do I have a budget system, or am I on Excel and the whole nine things? And that's the whole key. So how difficult is this going to be? What's my boss like? Is it somebody I can approach? Is she going to give me good description of what she wants so I can do it and get a good job, or not? See, here I know what to do. I look at, Philly KC, I'm telling you what to do. Boom. Yes, I see the game. I've already analyzed it in 2 seconds. That's what we do. It's sort of like the San Diego game last week. It took me 2 seconds to go. That's my lock. San Diego getting 9 from Detroit was a joke. I saw that and off I went. I just checked injuries. But once I didn't have to analyze anything. I've already been there, done that. There's some teams that when you get a dog and weak favorites like the Lions, that makes it what you're really looking for. So you do want it. So, so I look at weak favorites. Houston's a weak favorite. Washington's a weak favorite. Jacksonville's a weak favorite. And really, Buffalo's a weak favorite, but you wouldn't think it. But who are they beating? They're not beating it. Are they going to beat the Jets? I don't know. Jets beat them the first time. So that's what you're kind of looking for. How good are the teams? Do I really know the teams? And looking at their defense, they change every year. The coach changed, so I got to learn the teams. So I'm looking at the variables to problem solve it. Same thing with gold. We understand the dollar's printed. It's going to zero. Gold has to go up because there's no other dollar to go to. So we understand all the variables. We understand it's price fixed, but that's going away. So that's where we're at with it. So everything's price fixed. Everything's price fixed. Everything's problem solving with using the variables that you have. And what I told Nick when he's trying to formalize it is, do you know all the variables and how do you put it in? So how do you put San Francisco off of 3 losses into your formula? Do you even realize you have to put them into your formula? Are you putting time of possession or turnovers in your formula? I don't care about that. Those aren't meaningful variables. So what variables you put into a formula is critical. That's what you're looking for. Otherwise, it won't work anyway because there's too much. This is too much of an art than a science. So it'll never work with the model. You might get lucky and win, but theoretically, Philly KC, are you really using a model? Do you really need to use a model there? You're not just, I'll take Philly in 9, thank you very much. You can't see that. If you need a model to see that, you shouldn't be betting football. There's a lot of these. You just look at Frisco over Tampa, Dallas over Carolina, Detroit over Chicago. And it's understanding the teams, and that's by now we understand it. The only team that gets me is Jacksonville. I know they suck, but they're killing me, and so this week I'll probably stay away from them. Anyway, what else? So gold, again, we know the dollar's collapsing. This war in Israel is bullshit. There was a thing I saw today on a video with this Douglas MacArthur guy, or McGregor, and he said in Odessa, which is in the Ukraine by the Black Sea, and I've been there with Jenna, they went into these taverns and they just saw some kids put a gun to their head and say, "You're coming with us," and they're throwing them in the army. So I immediately sent this to Jenna saying, "Keep your kid if he's at the cafe or the bar to be careful. These guys are just coming in and basically kidnapping the kids to get into the army." And he's 16, so he is eligible now. And I said, "You got to keep this kid out of trouble, because all that's going to happen are the Russians are going to kill him, because the Russians are winning. They don't care. And this guy doesn't even know which end of the rifle to hold. I'm sure they didn't go through, there's no instruct, there's no like basic training, 6 months, and then they go into the war, and they're not even tested." So I told her, just keep an eye on the kid and make sure the kid's careful where he goes, that keep his eyes open. So I heard they're just abducting the kids and saying, "You're in the," and they're going up to like 50-year-olds. Can you imagine 50-year-olds fighting in the war? A war that you can't win. That's the funny part. Well, it's not the funny part, it's the sad part. Zelensky's just on the take. He's not running anything. He's got a house in the south of France, and he's taking kickbacks by the U.S. to stay in the war, to keep Russia busy, and all these Ukrainians are dying, and the whole thing's just absolutely ridiculous. Should not be a war. Why the U.S., why the arms dealers are running the war is even shows you how weak Biden is. But I can't wait till we get rid of Biden, if we'll still have a country. I don't think so, because once you lose the financial system of the country, you don't have a country. Although the only good thing is when you lose the financial, you won't have a government, because they won't get paid. That's the only bright spot. We get rid of the government. But no CBDCs. There's no point in it. They won't work anyway. If you have the dollar, it's not backed by gold. But it's just stupid. So anyway, I think that's it. Yeah, 3 hours. I'm toast. Yeah, gold going up. Just be patient. It's sort of like the Titanic. We know it's sinking. We saw it hit the iceberg. All you can do is get to the lifeboat and get off the boat. That's what we're doing. We're buying as much gold and silver as we can, and we're just waiting. We're just waiting for that. I did finally talk to Daria yesterday. I was so happy. And she's okay. She went to a clinic, but she didn't want to tell me she was going to the clinic. She thought I wouldn't like it, or she was scared. And, she's obviously insecure, and I'm an American. She's a Russian. And then by the end of it, it was very good. I supported her. Said, "Don't worry. If you need to do stuff like that, go do stuff like that. I don't care." And that's not what I'm about. I'm not about superficial stuff. I'm about real stuff. How do you treat me? Are you nice to me? Or am I nice to you? That's really the important. Is not you're not with the smart ass, or a girl that ignores you, or a girl that like Carmen, who just wants your money. So that's the key. Not if you do X or Y. And so I was very happy to hear from her. I actually sent her some money to go celebrate. I said, "Oh, let's go celebrate. Go have." I said, "Just get one red rose from me, and then the rest just go enjoy and get a coat or get a food or whatever it is." And she was all excited. And so that's what she's up to. But so I think that's why when I didn't hear from her for 4 or 5 days, she was going to this thing. Maybe it's once a month. And I guess it's in a different city, she said. So she goes to the different city. She's probably there a few days. However, I don't understand why she doesn't text me when she's there. It doesn't really make sense. All I care about is if you would say, like if I was going to Vegas, I'd say, "Okay, look, I'm going to Vegas, but why can't I text you from Vegas?" So I could say I'm going to Vegas for 4 days, but I would text her each morning. I'd wake up going, "Hi, I'm in Vegas." So I don't understand that part of it, that she couldn't text me. Maybe they don't allow her phones, but that doesn't make sense. She was online. Anyway, so at least I got that cleared up, and I feel a lot better. Not sure why that was causing me stress, but it was, again, part of the game that I didn't understand. And I don't have all the variables. Now I think I do. Anyway, I think that's about it. Thanksgiving's coming up soon. So not next week, the week after, we'll be full of Thursday, Friday, Saturday football games. We're already full of Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday games, but we'll have a lot of Thursday, 3 pro games on that Thanksgiving and everything else. And again, you got to adjust. You got to change your variables from Sunday to Sunday to Sunday to Thursday. How does that affect the betting? How does that affect the teams? And again, how do you plug that in? So how would you put that into a formula? You're doing these formulas. Well, how are you trip to London? How did you put that in your formula? Oh, Jacksonville stayed over a week. How'd you put that in your formula? A Thursday night game, Cincinnati, Baltimore. How do you get that into your formula? Now, it's not a big flight, but it's enough to throw Cincinnati off a little bit. They should travel tonight and be there tomorrow. How does that do it? I mean, that's basically what you're looking for versus a regular Sunday game. But anyway, so that's what we have. Again, www.teaserking.com. Red hot last week. Nailed a lot and hit the 35 unit lock, Alabama and San Diego. And there's several games that I'm liking. I really dig into tonight. And I'll try to post tonight. I'll probably play Cincinnati, Baltimore tomorrow. And then everything else is Sunday, but the Philly game. And probably this is a great week to trap that game. Take Philly in the 8.5 now. Find a couple of big ones with the intent of them playing Kansas City minus 2.5. Now, you don't win as much. You either win a lot or you kind of break even on it because KC wins by 3, you win both bets, or Philly upsets them and then you lose the KC part of it, which happens. So that's why it's a good one to win both with at this point spread and who's playing. It should be a close game. But this is a good week to do it. Now, you wouldn't do it. It's hard to do it, let's say, Frisco and Tampa. I mean, chances are Frisco blows them out. So you're laying 4, and then I'm going to take Tampa and 10 as the trap. Like, that ain't going to work. So anyway, we're learning the teams, which is what we need to do for our problem solving. So just think of everything in life's problem. And how do you solve it? And the way you solve it is analyzing. And the way to analyze is get all the variables. That's the key thing in life. If you can do that, you're way ahead of the game. But you got to, like money, you've got to understand there's a problem. So that's the first thing, is to understand it. Wait a minute, it's inflation. What is it? Oh, they printed too much dollars. Okay. What's going to happen? It's going to go to 0. Oh, then what do? You buy gold. So you've got the answer, but that's something you've got to get the question on. Do you realize there's a problem with money? If you realize it, then you can problem solve, and the answer is going to be gold, right? Fucking up the money, you buy gold. And that's going to be all over the world. They're fucking up the money. So the value of gold is going to go through the roof relatively soon. And it's a lot sooner than before, where you didn't know and you're waiting because of COMEX. Well, now you can see COMEX is getting crushed and starting to break down. And the banks are not relying on it, and all the banks are buying gold. So it's just a matter of time. When the banks are ready, it'll go up in price, go up in value. So that's really what you're looking for. So understand if it's a problem. Even if it isn't a problem, ask the question, hey, is there a problem with the money? For you and your children, if the money is not backed by gold and all you have is this, you have this, it's not backed by gold, it's going to zero 100% of the time. Not 10%, it's going to zero. And that's the most critical thing you need to know. If you understand that, then really you just buy gold. If the dollar is backed by gold, like the BRICS countries are coming out, the dollar will be backed by gold. Well, you don't need gold, but I would buy the dollars, right? I would stack the dollars over in a safe, and as opposed to buying the gold, because well, you won't. Whatever the gold will be worth, it'll be in the dollar. Look for the value of the gold to go way up, and silver. At that point, everybody will realize that they've been made off, and they'll get out of it. But right now, you're in the middle of a made off. I think I cracked it. I said if Madoff would have understood that all he needed to do was print money instead of going to these people for money, if you would have just realized, I just got to get in bed with JP Morgan, who runs the printing press, and doing it. And I think what's happened is JP Morgan's realized this, and they're not even doing the Ponzi scheme with anybody. They're doing their own Ponzi scheme. So in other words, I take 100 from Luke, and I take 100 from Greg and John. I take 100 from Nick. And then so when I get Greg and John's 100, I give him $10 when I get Nick's. And when I get Nick's, then I get Luke's, and that 100 I give to Greg and John, and I give to Nick. And I got to keep getting money in so I can keep paying out these other people. But now what they've done is just skipped all that. They're just printing the money. They're printing the money and taking it, and they're not giving out to anybody. So there's a huge, major Ponzi scheme. But the scheme is they're printing money. That's the Ponzi scheme. I'm JP Morgan. I'm going to print out $1 trillion and just put it in my pocket. I have the printing press, so I don't need people giving me money, and then I got to worry about paying them off. Who needs to worry about all that shit? Plus, it's legal because I can print the money. So I go print $1 billion, put it in my pocket, in my safe, buy gold with it. I don't have to Ponzi scheme anybody. The whole thing's a Ponzi scheme, and that's what the whole financial system is. It's a big Ponzi scheme. Wall Street's a Ponzi scheme. The whole thing. That's why they don't want you in gold, because they can't Ponzi scheme you, and right now they can control you. They can't control you if you own gold. They can't print gold. So they can't make it worthless, and they can't tax you with it because they don't know you have it. So that's really the key to it. So again, realize that the whole thing's a fucking Ponzi scheme. We're all getting fucked. Unless you have gold and silver, then you can get out of it. But you have to be patient and wait for it to happen, which it will happen soon. All right, so I leave you with that good note. We're in the middle of the biggest Ponzi scheme in the history of life. I hope you're enjoying it. But if you're getting out of it with gold, then so in other words, so here's our Ponzi scheme. This is worth nothing. This is worth nothing. Somebody's printing it and is pocketing it. So the Ponzi scheme is this has no value, and he keeps printing. And the way you avoid it is you have gold and silver, and it's going up. You're shutting up. Nobody knows you have it. There's no tax on it, no income tax on it, nothing. And that's really the bottom line of what's going on. So once you realize that, that's your out. The out's gold and silver. It's the only out you have. That's why you have it. You problem solved it. The problems, they print money to zero. The solution is gold. That's all. That's it. Simple as that. Women aren't that easy. Women, it's just the way they look at you. It's the way they talk to you. There's a lot of variables there, and all women are different. They want different things. The bottom line, they want a nice guy who they're safe with, I think is the bottom line. That's what Daria told me. Says, I feel safe with you. That's what she likes. Another girl said, just be nice to me. I mean, that's all you get them to talk, but they tell you what they want. It's like poker. They give you the tell, only they actually tell you that. And you just listen and you okay, fine. So with Daria, she's safe with me. Okay, that's what she needs. That's what she gets. I'm always there for her, right? And I don't care whatever clinic or whatever. Today she said she had a temperature. She's going home. So just go rest, have some hot tea, go to sleep. You'll be fine. And that's it. So anyway, more knowledge. Football, what do we got tonight? So we got Ohio Central Michigan, Ohio 11.5, 47 or 41. And Miami of Ohio, 7.5, 39. A B team, Miami, an E team in Buffalo, which is just an even team. So they score 25, they give up 28. Somewhere in the mid-20s is an E team. The other one, Miami's an under, Central's a W. I would advise the under, I guess, but I'm not playing it. Tomorrow we just got one game, Pitt, BC. Friday we got South Florida, UTSA, and Prime against Washington State. Should be a good game. So that's what we have. Today's Wednesday. This is why it's hard to watch these games. Like yesterday, I watched a movie. Tonight, I'll watch a movie. I'll start picking. But you got to be kidding. You can't watch games 7 days a week. You can't bet on them either. So you live guys that are monkeying around with that, with stuff you do not know, you better be careful, because if you start getting, it's easy, bullshit, it's easy. It is not easy to pick the winners. But I like in a teaser, and I think in these lives you get fucked where you miss, oh, wait, I want to bet Ohio State, and they're up 21-0. Oops. But that's what I wanted. I'm laying, Ohio State's 28. I'm laying 22. I want them to score. And now you're laying 35. You're fucked. So I don't get the point at all. Or as Alex saying, it's don't bet on the team. It's games you don't bet on. Well, the games I don't bet on, I don't want to bet on. Why? So let's say it's Purdue Northwestern. I don't want to bet that game. Oh, that's the game I'm supposed to bet live? I don't want to bet it. If I don't want to bet it, why would I bet it live? And if it's Oregon, Arizona State, I want to bet it. I want to bet on Oregon. Leave me alone. Get out of here. I'm going to wait until hopefully Arizona State puts up 10 points early, or only bet when they get up early, and then I can bet. Yeah. What if that doesn't happen? You've got to be careful. You've got to understand problem solve. You got to understand the rules to problem solve. All right, my friends, my family, have a nice night. www.teaserking.com. Nothing posted yet for this week. I'll probably play the Cincinnati-Baltimore game tomorrow, and probably the Colorado-Washington State game on Friday, and then the shit will hit the fan for Saturday and Sunday. All right, have a nice day. Good luck. Stay healthy. www.teaserking.com. Happy Thanksgiving soon.